All right. We have waited the necessary 15 minutes for stream so that I do not get penalized for saying curse words. Let's see what we're going over today. I haven't opened up any links. Let me see here. I do know that I want to look at some of the protest memes. Uh-oh. Let's see here. Fuck me. I thought that it would be way easier to just find the specific video that I was looking for. Here's one of them. Nope. Okay. No swearing? No. I'm going to swear. I swear to God I'm going to swear. All right, let's see here. Oh man, you know what? I totally changed the amount of light coming out. Is it this one that's too dark, or is it this one? I guess they're both slightly too dark. That sucks. Oh, you know what? I also have the TV on, but I didn't. There we go. All right, let's see here. How are you guys doing today? Yeah, put out a promotion short. Fuck it, why not? Yes, the good Christian, God-fearing stream from Sondsol. We actually had this idea. Well, I say we. Tron had this idea where we do Bible study on stream, which I think, you know, absolutely not. But the reasoning is, wouldn't it be funny? And I'm kind of thinking about it. Wouldn't it be funny to do like a Bible verse per stream where we just take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, Bible verse of the day, and then we just say like, you know, oh, look, this is why adultery is bad according to God. Donald Trump has fucked so many fucking women over his life. He raped at least one. Raped at least one. But Biden has been with the same woman for 50 years. Because the last one died in like a crazy car accident or some shit, right? I mean, it would be great. It would be great. But that would require me to read the Bible. All right? And there are only 2 books of the Bible that I've read. As a pastor's son, I've read 2 books of the Bible. Genesis and Revelations. And I gave myself the worst like childhood anxiety after reading Revelations. I truly thought that we were, because it was like you know, it was like ramping up to 2012, I think, like the couple of years before 2012. And you know, there were all those movies and TV shows about Nostradamus and how he was predicting the end of the world and the Aztec calendar was going to reset and all of that stuff. And so, like, I read Revelations and I'm reading about what happens to those people that don't believe in God. And I'm like, oh, man, I'm fucked. I don't even believe in this shit. I don't even believe in this shit. And I'm fucked. I can find the Bible verses for you. You know, it might actually be cool to get my previously a pastor dad to come on to stream. You know, maybe we do it like once a week. And, you know, he's a big libtard like me, you know. He's a huge libtard like me. Just have him come up, you know. Hey, Dad, here, preach for a minute. He pick out a Bible verse. He explain why like Republicans are the most like fucking insane group of people to walk God's green earth, short of the Nazis. You know what? I'll give them that. They're not as crazy as the Nazis or the, you know, the socialists, like the ones that actually got power. But he's a pretty bad dude. He's a bad hombre, as one might say. History Channel during the 2012 hype was insane. Dude, I have never watched more History Channel before in my life. That was like right in the transition of History Channel just becoming like, you know, reality TV. Oh, we're going to pretend like there's some historical context that we can throw in here. Therefore, it's technically History Channel, right? It would be amazing. I just don't know if we could do it long term, you know? Fuck. Also, my fingers smell so bad because I was cutting up onions. I cut up onions right before stream because I was helping my girlfriend prep for dinner. And now onions, shallots, whatever. And now my fingers smell like shallots. And I don't know what I'm going to do for the rest of the stream because I'm used to just like sitting here and like, you know, contemplating as a man does by rubbing his beard, but I don't want to rub my beard and make that smell like shallots too. Okay, we've been memeing for too long. Pause. Let's see where we're at here.
Again, tearing down the barricades.
Oh, this is the long one. Okay. I watched like 30 minutes of news coverage this morning right after I woke up. Like, this is the first thing I woke up and saw. Can someone explain to me why the Israeli protesters are wearing these fucking serial killer masks? The one thing I'm scared of is if you do something like that and it explodes and gets us tons of views and stuff, then we're forced to do more. Yeah, that would be one thing. That would be one thing that I would be concerned about. But I also, like, it's just there's actually, like, preparation that goes into a segment like that. And I don't prep for stream. As you guys can see, I was opening up tabs after starting stream. So we don't prep here, all right? This is raw, real, coming at you fast. And coming at you fast. But yeah, does anybody know why the fuck these guys are wearing the masks like this? This is terrifying.
Xavier Westergaard.
Let's look at some of these things.
And Daniela Simons, who has also served in the IDF and is one of the students suing the school. Welcome to both of you. I say every time you sit down, I just can't even imagine what you two have been going through and what it's been like for you. And to now be students there and you can't even walk on your school's campus?
Thank you for having us, first of all. It's come to a point where really I'm speechless. I have nothing to say. I think back to October 7th and the events that ensued on campus shortly after, and I think it never had to get to this point. What do you think, Xavier?
2 weeks ago.
Wow, she really does have nothing to say. Jesus, I thought that's usually just an expression, you know? It's usually just I'm actually at a loss for words. Like, you're supposed to say something after that, right? Like, explain why you're at a loss for words. Don't just hand it off to someone else.
Ago, I came onto this show and was afraid to walk on campus. Now we don't have to be afraid about walking on campus because we're not even allowed to walk on campus. The NYPD came in last night after 2 weeks of mixed messages and total, what's even the word? Lack of communication from the university. The only communication.
Okay, this is, hey guys, I don't want to dunk on this just because it's Fox News, okay? This is a bad segment. You have two people on your show that don't know what to say about the thing they were brought on to talk about. They keep on passing it off to each other because they don't have enough information. Like, maybe vet them before they come on. Like,
it's come to a point where really I'm speechless. I have nothing to say. I think back to October 7th and the events that ensued on campus.
Like, I thought that when I clicked on this was going to be protesters that were suspended. These are Jewish kids that feel like they should have a lot to say about what's going on at Columbia, right? There's so much to say. You know, I'm Jewish. I didn't like the fact that there were all these people there. Like, I'm totally for free speech. I'm totally for, peaceful protest. But like at this point, I was given, a text message that says it's not safe for me to be at school. So don't walk around on campus until this is over. It's really disappointing for the university to not have a strong stance on this. Like, you can have so much to say here. Say it. You have a platform on the largest news network. Actually, I don't know if that's still true. Let's do a quick Google search. What is the largest news organization in the U.S.? I think it's Fox. Oh, I guess it's... Oh, this is the world's top 10. Well, I guess if it's the world's top 10, then... New York Times. It used to be Fox. I wonder when that changed. Nope.
Shortly after, and I think it never had to get to this point. What do you think, Xavier?
2 weeks ago, I came onto this show and was afraid to walk on campus. Now we don't have to be afraid about walking on campus because we're not even allowed to walk on campus. The NYPD came in last night after 2 weeks of mixed messages and total...
Tucker Carlson leaving, most likely. Listen, Tucker Carlson... Does anybody know where his show is hosted? Is it hosted through X/Twitter? Because the only time that I see anything from Tucker Carlson nowadays is when he's either interviewing Putin or when he's interviewing, what the fuck is his Alexander Dugin, the literal neo-fascist thought leader from Russia. I mean, like, literally, fuck, there's a guy in our Discord. Let me see here. I'll search up his name. And the way someone that likes him describes Dugin describes like a fascist. Oh shit, 1 second. Here, let's do it like this. Dugin. Jump. Dugin supports Putin's Tsarist war against communism. Dugin supports liberals and Democrats who love the Tsar and the throne. Dugin talks a lot about God, religion, and the power of the Russian soul. 100% for Putin's Republican Party line. So, this Dugin guy is a fascist. He talks about like the nationalist spirit, the like kind of blood and soil type line that was central to fascism. But all of these lefties suck him off like he's Stalin 2.0. It is actually crazy that for all of these lefties who read or claim to read so much theory and understand so much about all these different political ideologies, for them not to recognize actually fascist rhetoric, actually fascist ideology when it's right there in front of them, and for them to suck off the person who is writing the fascist ideology, it's actually fucking crazy to me. Like, as someone who has read both socialist and fascist theory and read liberal theory, I have to throw that in every time so people don't think I'm a fascist or a socialist. I've read lots of political ideology, like theory and, treatises and stuff. And fascism is not when someone is bad. Fascism is not when someone disagrees with me. Fascism is not when socialism. Fascism is this overall total support of the idea of the nation. It is built primarily, and I don't mean mythos in a derogatory sense. They build their entire ideology on the mythos of the nation, which is central to their entire ideology, about how, like, the soul of the people that live in that country, that are from that country, drives that country towards greater heights, right? Drives that nation towards greater heights, because it is the soul and the blood and the bones of the people in that country that are inextricably tied to the ground, to the soil, to the earth that they were born on, right? Like, that is like a central part of fascism. And fucking Dugin talks about that all the fucking time in regards to Russian nationalism. But then again, like, I guess, like, I shouldn't be too surprised, because most people that describe someone as a fascist mean that they don't like them. It's like defending China saying it's communist. I swear tankies are brain dead or so big brain that they have reached escape velocity and us mere mortals cannot comprehend their motives. Well, I will say this. I think that it is more accurate to say that China is communist than to say that, Alexander Dugin isn't a fascist, right? Like, no. China is its own thing. I wouldn't say that China is communist, and I also wouldn't say that China isn't communist. They're in their own special, but the workaround that people that support China use is that it's communism with Chinese characteristics, which means the capitalism that helps the party and then the communism that represses everybody. It's literally the worst of both worlds.
Well, what's even the word? Lack of communication from the university. The only communication that we got was that there were ongoing negotiations with some of the student leaders of these protests, these unauthorized protests, which had already been condemned as being against university policy, but the university didn't do anything. What's the point of having a policy if you're not going to do anything?
Exactly, and they only stepped in when the facilities workers were held hostage inside Hamilton Hall. And in the email that was put out by the president, it was, she said the facilities workers were held hostage, and then she listed the anti-Semitism. Like, it's always a...
Wait, I haven't heard anything about that. Columbia University hostage. A facilities worker at Columbia University claims to have been temporarily held hostage by anti-Israel protesters after a mob of anarchists stormed an academic building on the campus and barricaded its doors. Let me not read directly from Fox. Let's see if there's someone that can word this in a slightly less inflammatory way. But it might not be being reported on anywhere else. Okay, we'll open it in another tab. Let me just see. Just trying to see if there's anything about someone being held hostage. No. I guess nobody else wanted to interview this guy. All right. Well, let's see if it's in this video. God, I hate ads.
From the summer of 2020, it was your amazing and intrepid reporting all hours of the night during the George Floyd riots. I mean, let's call them what they were. What is your sense when you look at this situation? Do you think we could be headed there? Are we already there? What's your comparison of these two?
No one's going to
moments in our history?
Stop. There's not going to be this mass protest all over the United States, BLM style, over fucking Israel Palestine. It's not close enough to home. Most people don't know about this issue. Most people don't care about this issue. It's going to be like very small pockets of people that care about this issue. We're not going to see BLM style fucking protests.
Look, I think 2020 was unique, and that summer was something else. I think you had the entire city that was up for grabs at that moment, and it was an intense moment that was happening nationwide. We are seeing nationwide protests. I think the thing that I can say is that, you know, obviously this is happening on one campus in this city, but then when I take a step back and realize all of these universities across the country are getting their messages from what's happening here at Columbia. This was the first major protest in this that launched all of the other protests that we're seeing nationwide. So I think it's incredibly important to see how the police and the NYPD react to this, how this administration reacts, and it's going to be important to see how far these students are willing to go. If there's anything we learned from 2020, it's that people were willing to go as far as the police and society was allowing them to go. And there was true lawlessness there until there was finally a crackdown of sorts. But that became an out-of-control situation. And I fear here that could happen if the administration continues to say that they're going to do something, and in the end, they don't. And then at that moment, that is when I feel they're going to put the NYPD in a particular situation where they're going to have to go in there on a university campus and deal with students, mostly students, right before commencement. So I think the university finds himself in a really tough situation. This is a major escalation to occupy a building. And I think at this moment, it'll be fascinating to see what this school does. An incredibly important next few hours here this morning on how the school reacts, because this is another. It's seemingly they've only been emboldened thus far by the university's actions.
Brian, you nailed it. This will go as far as the adults in the room, as the leaders allow it to go. We saw in 2020 it went too far. This seems like it's headed down that same path. Brian Yennis, amazing coverage. We appreciate it.
They held me hostage. A facilities worker who was in the building when the insurrection began said after he was allowed to leave, according to a student newspaper, Columbia Spectator. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Because I want to make it clear. I don't think that these protests are effective, number one. I don't think that they are good for the movement, number two. Like, if anything, it makes them look way, way worse. Like, this is just not good shit to be doing if you actually want to help Palestinians. The insurrection began approximately 12:30 a.m. Nice word there, insurrection. But they barricaded themselves in at about 12:30. The worker exited the building around 12:40 a.m. He was in there for 10 minutes. That's not being held hostage. He probably argued with them for 10 minutes like, I don't want to be here. I'm not a part of this. I'm mopping floors. And then they were like, you know what? He doesn't want to be here. He's just working. And they let him out 10 minutes later. All right. That was okay. When I heard they held someone hostage, I was like, damn, they're really role-playing the whole Hamas thing, aren't they, dude?
Forethought, right? It's never about breaking university policy. It's as it relates to anti-Semitism.
So lawlessness,
yes,
you know,
complete anarchy.
No rules. You can break the rules. There's, you know, no consequences. And it struck you a moment ago when we were talking to Laura Ingraham, and I reported what we heard from the White House, and that was through the press secretary, that the President of the United States still, amid this chaos, all over the country, has not gotten on the phone and spoken with a school administrator or a university president. You said we really haven't heard anything that the White House has had to say. We turned to this exchange with our own Peter Doocy. This was live in the briefing just a moment ago. I want to get your thoughts out of this.
Some of these encampments, they had matching tents. We're being told that there are professional outside agitators involved. We don't know if they're being paid to sow chaos by domestic folks or foreign entities. Does President Biden want his administration to find out who is funding some of these protests?
But I can say, I cannot speak to the organizations that are being reported that's on the ground. That is not something for me to speak to. That is obviously something that local governments, local officials, I keep saying local government, local officials are.
How many protests are there? Going off vibes alone, isn't there only about 10 at most? No, my understanding is that like most universities have, like most major universities are having some level of protest. When it comes to like the crazy shit going on, I think it's Columbia, NYU, UCLA, and I think there was a little bit of shit going on at Austin. But other than that, I think that there hasn't been too much craziness, which just like speaks to, like, yeah, will you get more eyes on your protest if you just completely go guerrilla mode and start smashing windows and shit? Yeah, but you're getting incredibly negative press. I watch a lot of different news stations, okay? I watch Fox, I watch CNN, I watch MSNBC, I watch independent journalists on YouTube. I watch, AP reporting. I read a lot of articles, and there's been very, 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 very little positive views, even from like the more left-leaning outlets out there, right? CNN is pretty solidly trying to push closer to the middle nowadays. Like they still, I think they're more accurate, and therefore they're going to have a left-leaning bias a little bit. But like MSNBC, right? Independent journalists on YouTube who are left-leaning, like outside of like the really crazy people, there's just not been a lot of rah, we need to support these kids. Chicago is starting to pop off. Link me something on Discord. I haven't heard anything about that. I've been at work most of the day. I woke up for 30 minutes, watched news about this, and then I haven't heard anything else. I came back, started stream.
Going to speak to. They'll have better information on that. What we have said, and I don't think I've iterated that yet from here, is that the DOJ and FBI is going to continue to offer support to universities and colleges in respect to federal laws. So that is something that the DOJ and FBI is doing. As far as local organizations and what is all being reported on the ground, that is something that that local law enforcement certainly is looking into.
I understand that President Biden historically has spoken very forcefully about anti-Semitism. But this week he's not. He's MIA. Is he that worried about losing the youth vote with these protesters?
I'm going to be mindful. You're talking about youth vote. You're talking about 2024. No.
Young people.
I have to say what I have to say, and just give me a second. So I'm not going to speak about somebody's doorbell. Is that a doorbell?
Yeah, that was an alarm.
An alarm. Okay. All right. And I'll speak more broadly. I can't speak to youth and support and voters. That's not something I can do from here. The president has taken a lot of policy actions here that he knows that young people care about.
I mean, it struck me just there. I said it to you. They're referencing reports from the ground. This is the White House. They can get any of that information firsthand. Why are they not?
Any conversation between the White House and the university is a two-way street, so I don't know why President Biden or his team haven't reached out to Manu Shafiq. But the real question for me is why my president of the university or his team between the White House
firsthand. Why are they not?
Any conversation between the White House and the university is a two-way street, so I don't know why President Biden or his team haven't reached out to Manu Shafiq. But the real question for me is why my president of the University, Manu Shafiq, hasn't sought more outside support for this. For us, this is a crisis. We've been warning about this being a crisis for Jewish students on campus for the last 6 months, and only now they're responding. We've been telling people that these protests are not pro-Palestine, they're anti-Semitic, they're anti-Israel, and they were going to inevitably escalate and become violent, and now they have.
She kept saying that these are mostly peaceful, that there's just a few students that are involved in the bad stuff, the vile rhetoric, the anti-Semitic words.
Did she say that this one was mostly peaceful, or was she saying that broadly? Fuck. Do we have to like watch her entire fucking thing again?
I cannot speak to the organizations that are being reported that's on the ground. That is not something for me to speak to. That is obviously something that local governments, local officials, I keep saying local officials are going to speak to. They'll have better information on that. What we have said, and I don't think I've iterated that yet from here, is that the DOJ and FBI is going to continue to offer support to universities and colleges in respect to federal laws. So that is something that the DOJ and FBI is doing. As far as local organizations and what is all being reported on the ground, that is something that that local law enforcement certainly is looking into.
It doesn't seem like she said anything about that. Or is she talking about the professor or the president of the university?
Conversation between the White House and the university is a two-way street, so I don't know why President Biden or his team haven't reached out to Manu Shafiq. But the real question for me is why my president...
And also fuck, I don't even know the name of the fucking press secretary of the United States of America. Fuck. She said that they've offered support with the DOJ and the FBI. Is that not reaching out? Maybe the president of Columbia isn't taking proactive steps, but it sounds like the White House is.
Of the University, Manu Shafiq, hasn't sought more outside support for this. For us, this is a crisis. We've been warning about this being a crisis for Jewish students on campus for the last 6 months, and only now they're responding. We've been telling people that these protests are not pro-Palestine, they're anti-Semitic, they're anti-Israel, and they were going to inevitably escalate and become violent, and now they have.
She kept saying that these are mostly peaceful, that there's just a few students that are involved in the bad stuff, the vile rhetoric.
She must be
the
talking about the
words.
president. Okay.
What do you say to that?
I say that it's the university's responsibility to educate these students on what is anti-Semitism and what is not. There's an anti-Semitism task force, and that's great, but when they're not teaching students why this is hateful, that's a problem. And we're seeing it. They're just becoming more and more extreme because the university has failed to step in.
In fact, is it fair to say?
Man, this is one problem that I have with messaging, because every single time I hear someone that is very, very obviously very, what's the word I'm looking for, biased, or very, very hardcore set on one side of an issue, is they have these talking points and they have no understanding of the other side. And so when you look at this girl, and granted, she's probably like 19, maybe 20 years old. She's still in college, right? She's really young. And so I can give her some grace on that. But like when you say like, we need to educate these students on what anti-Semitism is. And when the guy right before is saying these protests are not pro-Palestine, they're anti-Semitic and anti-Israel. Well, yeah, no shit. They are anti-Israel because they are pro-Palestinian. The pro-Palestinian line is going to be anti-Israel because Israel is currently bombing the fuck out of Gaza. No shit, they're going to be anti-Israel in this situation. If you want to put out messaging, right? Don't put out messaging that is going to immediately get shot down or used for further conspiracism on the other side. What's going to be said about what the guy said, right? This is anti-Semitism and anti-Israel. Oh, look at these guys. Oh, look at these guys. They say that being against Israel equals being anti-Semitic. We're not saying that all Jews do this. We're saying that the country of Israel is doing this. That's the instant, easy response. And for some people who are protesting, that's the truth. When she says, it's good that there's an anti-Semitism task force, right? And it's the responsibility of the university to educate these kids on what anti-Semitism is. The immediate response to that is going to be the more conspiratorial, like, oh, well, the Jews are trying to, shut down free speech because they want to indoctrinate people so that no criticism can be levied against Israel without it being anti-Semitic. They're trying to indoctrinate people into believing their lies or whatever. Like, there's a lot that you can say about these protests, all right? I support the right for people to express their views and their opinions in the United States. We have the First Amendment, and I'm proud to be an American and I'm proud to be a citizen of a country where I can go out, I can say whatever the fuck I want on any topic. And short of inciting violence against another person or another group, nobody can tell me not to. Outside of trespassing on someone's lawn, nobody can tell me not to. However, these protests have gone too far in what they're trying to accomplish. They're trying to advocate for, pro-Palestinian causes, right? They don't like the devastation that's happening in Gaza. But the way to do that is not to, completely occupy an entire university, bring in agitators from outside, have some of those agitators attack people for being Jewish. It's the right way to protest is not to break into one of the campus buildings, barricade yourself in there like it's fucking Les Miserables and you're doing your last fucking stand hoping that the people will hear your call. Maybe you should try to actually accomplish something instead of LARPing as Hamas, the people that you're doing chants for. Maybe if you're going to go out and protest, maybe you shouldn't be praising the actions of a literal terrorist government whose biggest accomplishment in the past 10 years, in the entirety of their reign in the Gaza Strip was to break out of the Gaza Strip and just go around killing as many fucking civilians and children and women and fucking people driving to work as they possibly could. There's a lot that you can say about these protests that won't immediately turn off everybody to your left or everybody to your right. It is so easy. It is so easy. Did you see the giant TV that was playing footage from January 6th at a pro-Palestine protest? No. I haven't followed the protests on campuses that closely. Not January 6th, October 7th? Was the TV playing October 7th footage? Please tell me that it was not played on the protesters' side. Tell me that it was like counter-protesters showing how bad October 7th was. Please, for the love of God, you cannot be serious. I thought that was Silence and Screams, Doc. I don't know what that means.
Say they're teaching them the exact opposite?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, that's powerful. What is your message? What is your message? If the White House you had the ear of the White House today, what could be done from your view? You have seen this firsthand. You're experiencing the threats, the vile rhetoric. You can't even go to your classes anymore. There are people who can't even graduate. What is your message, Xavier?
There needs to be strong, unequivocal condemnation of the actions that have happened on these campuses. They can't shift the blame from faceless outside agitators away from the students on our campus who are engaging in this despicable way. And there needs to be
that is also something, like, even if there are outside agitators, holy fuck, like, you can't take away all of the autonomy of these. I'm sorry, yes, they are kids, but they are legally adults. They are in college, and they're going around, and they are breaking shit, and they are attacking people. You can't take away the autonomy by saying, oh, well, there were outside agitators, because the outside agitators weren't the only ones. They might have started stuff, but this is why, like, we talked a little bit in the Discord about this. In the late 50s and early 60s, during the civil rights protest, something that the protest leaders would do would be, hey, if you're going to go out and you're going to go on this march with us, we're going to meet in front of this church, and we're going to show you what could happen to you, what will happen to you if you are marching with us. And they would meet in front, and they would get into each other. They would get into these people's faces, and they would scream at them. And they would yell at them. They would push them. They would kick them. They would spray them with water. They would show them what they were heading into, so that when it happens to you, this is how you're supposed to react with nonviolence. They can beat you, they can kick you, they can spray you with water hoses, they can sick attack dogs on you. But what you are going to do is you're going to keep marching. You're going to react with nonviolence. You're going to react with nonviolence. That is one of the tactics that Martin Luther King used. And now all the fucking soy leftoids are gonna, oh, look, white guy bringing up MLK. MLK wasn't against violence. One, yes, he was. Number two, they'll bring up the violence is the language of the unheard, or riots are the language of the unheard. That wasn't excusing it. It was explaining it while also still advocating for a movement of love, a movement of peace. And that's what ultimately got the Civil Rights Act over the finish line. The protesters have to be seen as being treated unfairly from the opposition. Exactly. When you see it, like, this is why at the beginning of the protests in 2020, the BLM protests, the amount of people that supported the BLM protests went from, like, you know, like the general national view of BLM went from like 30 to 40% support to like 70, 80% support. And why? Let me see if I can find this clip. Oh, man. One second. There is this like unbelievable clip from 2020. And it's this young guy. He's doing literally nothing violent, doing nothing that you could consider to be inciting. It was one of the like most heartfelt speeches, just off the cuff, I've ever seen a young person give. And he's talking directly to police. He's on one knee. No violence is happening at this event at all. And he's saying, listen, we're not different. You're a policeman. I'm a civilian. I don't want to fight you. You don't want to fight me. We're out here protesting because we want there to be, less black men killed. I don't know exactly what he said, but he gave like a stump speech, but it was very heartfelt. And He was crying while he was saying it, and he's just talking to the police, not inciting violence, not doing anything violent. But the cops walked over, fucking grabbed him, arms behind his back, zip ties on his wrists, and took him away. And everyone's like, what the fuck? And that video was played over and over and over and over. That's the sort of shit that gets people like, hey, maybe the cops are being the bastards here, all right? Maybe the cops are the bad guys in this situation. Even people that fucking hated BLM would watch that video and they'd be like, okay, this is bullshit. Okay, you know what? Maybe these guys have a fucking point. That was at the beginning of 2020 protests. By the end of it, when all the fucking retards went out in fucking Portland, when all the fucking retards went out in Seattle and they were fucking just rioting for months long fucking riots with no specific asks, just anger. There's nothing productive is going to happen there. Nothing of substance is going to come out of that. Nothing long term is going to come out of that. If you actually give an iota of a fuck about what you are advocating for, you have to have a plan. Number one, you have to have people that are willing to act on that plan, and you have to do it in a way that's probably not going to make you feel super good. All right? It's probably not going to feel really good to get arrested. It's probably not going to feel really good to be attacked by cops and not fight back. It's probably not going to feel really good being attacked by counter protesters and not fight back. But do you care about the cause that you're fighting for? Or do you care about revolution? It bothers me so much as someone that is sympathetic to like the situation for people in Gaza. Like it's genuinely heartbreaking for the average civilian in Gaza. It's unspeakable. But you're doing nothing for them, telling your university not to order more Coke products. You're not doing anything for them by telling your university to end ceasefire or start a ceasefire now. What the fuck is the university going to do about it? You know what? I'm actually so curious. Columbia University. What's the word I should look for? Demands. The Times of Israel probably not going to be super. I want to know what they are asking for. Oh, video? Maybe we can just watch a video. We like videos here because we have ADD and we don't like to read.
Columbia University began suspending pro-Palestinian activists who refused to take down a tent encampment on its New York City campus Monday, after the school declared a stalemate.
Also, does anybody have any info on the rumors or allegations about there being, they say that the tents are the same across different universities and stuff, and that this is being funded by different people. I see in the content suggestions right here. I'll show you what the thumbnail looks like. George Soros funded terrorist camps across U.S. colleges. Does anybody know it? Like, because I don't like until some real news organization comes out and provides a specific link. I don't care about people saying, "Oh, this is funded by this person," And like, if there's proof of it, sure. But I don't like the rumor mill. Like, this is fucking so stupid to me. Like everything is funded by Soros or, white nationalists or whatever the fuck. Free Palestine. And then they'll go on to also say, like, Hamas is based. Yeah.
In talks to end the protests. University President Nemat Minouche Shafiq said in a statement that days of negotiations between student organisers and academic leaders had failed to persuade demonstrators to dismantle dozens of tents set up to express opposition to Israel's war in Gaza. The crackdown at Columbia comes amid a wave of Gaza-related protests across American universities. Columbia University spokesman Ben Chang said on Monday that, quote, "The encampment has created an unwelcoming environment for many of our Jewish students and faculty, and a noisy distraction that interferes with the teaching, learning, and preparing for final exams." Earlier, Shafiq said Columbia would not divest from finances in Israel, a key demand of the protesters. Instead, she offered to invest in health and education in Gaza and make Columbia's direct investment holdings more transparent. Protesters vowed to keep their encampment on the New York City campus until Columbia meets three demands: divestment, transparency in Columbia's finances, and amnesty for students and faculty disciplined for their part.
Divestment. I want to know what they mean by divestment. What? These repulsive scare tactics mean nothing compared to the deaths of over 34,000 Palestinians. Hey, wasn't there like a war in the past like 5 to 10 years in like Uganda or somewhere in Central Africa that killed like 80,000 people in a shorter time span? They don't care about they don't care about the deaths of Palestinians. It's because it is a specific topic that is hot in the news. They don't care about, fascist governments killing people left and right. That's what bothers me, right? If this was something that like they had a principled stance on across, conflicts all over the world, or if they had this kind of energy for like the Rohingya Muslims or the Uyghur Muslims, both of which are being, well, actually, I think the Uyghur genocide is either slowed to a halt, basically, because of all the international pressure. But like, where's the energy for those, which are documented and classified genocides? Like, where's that energy? To divest from China, to divest from, it's Myanmar? No more products from Myanmar until the Rohingya Muslims have their own state. One of them was going to open a school in Israel, I thought. Who was that? Was that Columbia? Let me see here. I do know that at UCLA, like the biggest concession they got was that all students from Palestine, if you come from Gaza or you come from the West Bank, you come from, what I guess people are considering to be Palestine, even though there's not internationally recognized borders. Like they got them free tuition. Like, this is where we're at. This is the concessions that we need, is less investment in Israel from universities, which is not where the majority of their money is coming from, and free tuition for Palestinians, of which like I don't even think that there's like 1% of the population of these campuses being Palestinian? Let's see here. Students protesting Israel's military offensive in Gaza, including some Jewish peace activists, have said that they are being censured as anti-Semitic merely for criticizing the Israeli government or for expressing support for Palestinian rights. Well, maybe you shouldn't chant out shit saying, we'll do October 7th again. Maybe if you said October 7th was bad, but what's happening in Gaza is also bad, might get people on your side a little bit more. But if you're like praising the actions of like a terrorist attack that killed like over 1,000 Israelis, maybe that's not the line you want to go down. I mean, I wouldn't scoff at free tuition, but not exactly the significance they were probably looking for. I mean, it's not free tuition for all of the people protesting. It's free tuition for people who are from Gaza or the West Bank or their children, I guess. I don't know how many, generations down that goes, but like it's just not significant at all. It's not a concession that helps the Palestinian people. It's helping, people who are already here in the United States get free college. I don't know. The Los Angeles-based university, UCLA, or USC. Wait, which one? Or is it UCLA? What? I don't know how much like this actually matters, but like think about like the time frame here. It's 2024, right? And they're canceling college graduations over this stuff. What happened 4 years ago that also canceled high school graduations? COVID. So like if you were a senior in 2020 and you were graduating that year, you didn't get to graduate like on stage and have like the cap and gown and throw your hat and all that shit. And now 4 years later, you've gone to a major university. You've worked your ass off your entire life to get good grades, to show everyone what you're fucking made of. And now I don't get to walk for graduation again. That's a very small point, but it kind of feels bad, doesn't it? Like that feels a little bad. Hey, free school sounds fun to me. Oh yeah, no. Yeah, listen. Goldfish. If this is your first time watching, I'm going to respond to like most of what most people say in chat. You'll know if I'm like arguing with you or if I'm finding issue with what you say. I like to argue with chat a lot. There's a lot of chat engagement here. Divestment means they mean to stop shopping at Jewish businesses or any like it's what is the divest? Oh, divestment from Israel meaning. What is boycott, divestment, BDS movement? What are all of the BDS list? Know what to boycott. So BDS is basically what it says: boycott, divest, and what? And sanctions. Boycott, divest, and sanction Israel, right? What is so funny is there's like no way for someone reasonably to boycott, divest, either on a personal level or on a business level with Israel, because a lot of the ways that they're going are like they're defining like if someone has like an Israeli on the board of directors or as a CFO or CEO, right? Then you need to divest from that, which I'm sorry, feels a little bit racist, in my personal opinion. Feels a little like if they are simply like Jewish or they have, ties to Israel in any way, shape, or form. If there's one person on the board, boycott that shit, right? I've been divesting from Jewish food all my life. Absolute garbage cuisine. I will say I think I've had one Jewish. I went to I was invited to go to a Hanukkah, one of the days of Hanukkah this past year, and I did not know that you're supposed to dip latkes, which are the like they shred potatoes and then they fry them into little potato patties, right? That sounds fucking great, right? Little potato pancakes, basically, right? I didn't know you're supposed to dip that shit in applesauce, evidently. I don't know if they were trolling me or not, but if you're actually supposed to dip that shit in applesauce, sorry, that's insane to me. All right, that's crazy shit. I haven't had any other. No. I've had genuine New York Jewish bagels before when I went to New York City for the first time this last year. And let me tell you, that shit fucking slaps. All right. I am not divesting from some salmon schmear. Okay. That shit fucks. All right. Anyways, let's see here. What is get involved? What to boycott? What to boycott? I've had hummus on carrots. Isn't that a normal thing? Not targeted consumer boycott. A targeted consumer boycott. Wait a second. This isn't all of the companies that I was told, because they're telling you to not drink Coke products. So, no HP. What is this? Through its planned construction of the Eurasia Interconnector, this will link Israel's electricity grid with Europe's, allowing illegal settlements on stolen Palestinian land to benefit from Israel-EU trade of electricity produced from fossil gas. Helps run the biometric ID system that Israel uses to restrict Palestinian movement. When they say that they help them run it, is it just on their software and then they made their own? If you guys don't know, like some people will say like IBM was complicit in the Holocaust. Why? Because they in the 40s, like the whatever we can consider to be a computer from the 40s, right? They made punch card systems and like how to keep track of people for censuses in like the early and mid 30s, right? But those machines and those systems were used later on in the Holocaust. Yeah, tabulation system software, quote unquote, because, analog. But like that, they sold that to Germany in like the earlier mid 30s, I believe. The Holocaust didn't start until 42, right? The mass roundups and like mass executions didn't start until the 40s. So like, can we say that IBM was complicit in that? No. That's insane. So I wonder if this is the same kind of thing. HB branded corporations play key roles that provide computer hardware to the Israeli army and maintain data centers through their service for the Israeli police. They provide computer hardware. So the Israeli army buys hardware, which means like computer chips and laptops and shit. I don't know if I would It depends. Maintain data centers through their service for the Israeli police. Okay, Israeli police and the IDF are different. I don't know what the Israeli police have to do with Palestinians. But then again, I'm not like the most informed person on this. The computerized database of Israel's Population and Immigration Authority. Why is that bad? Racial segregation and apartheid. I'm going to, you know what? We might need to move on from this topic because I'm going to continually find another rabbit hole to go down. Israel is not explicitly racially segregated. In Israel, there are a lot of Israeli Arabs that live in Israel that are not restricted because of the fact that they are Arab. Palestinians, people that live in the West Bank or Gaza, or trying to come over from Jordan or Lebanon or something like that, or Syria, yeah, they're probably being tracked, and they're probably, however they, keep their checkpoints and stuff. But like, if you're just like an Arab that lives in Israel, you don't have the racial segregation and apartheid. Like, I know what they're going for, but you can't use words. How's it going, Mia Kinsley? How's my stream going? So far, so good. You can't use words that are so. You can't broaden terms like racial segregation and apartheid to fit anything, because then when you actually see racial segregation and apartheid, becomes harder for you to advocate for ending those things, because people will say like, oh, well, you said that this other place was racially segregated and like living in apartheid conditions, but like if this is the same as that, then like why the fuck should I care, right? Okay, we need to move on and have one train of thought. Okay. We haven't even finished this video. I've been streaming for an hour and a half almost. Got your stream in my recommendation, so I thought, why don't I join in? Well, welcome. For people that are new, if you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Kick, I'm Sondsol. I am a political science student. I like to talk about politics. I like to argue about politics. We talk about all sorts of fun things on here, like drama and politics. And I like to argue with people in chat about a lot of different things. Like, comment, and subscribe. I don't like to shill also. How's it going for Air Shield? It's going pretty good so far. Except for I need to focus. I need to stop jumping around at every single different line of thought that pops into my head. Just call me Panda at this point. All right, he's outed himself. All right, folks. Panda has outed himself. He is no longer in hiding. It would be really bad to make never mind. I'm not even going to allude to the joke that I wanted to make because of the topic that we're talking about. Fuck. Thank you, Mia. I appreciate that. Let's see here. I'm not going to watch the whole thing here, but like, since we've been talking shit about like the Palestinian protesters, you can make Jew jokes, just don't be overly racist. See, this is the difference between me and you, Front Yard or Panda. Sorry, I'm used to just reading the name. This is the difference between you and me, Panda. Like, I have edgy jokes that I would make, but I only make those things in private. All right, I'll make an edgy joke in private. I would never type that shit out and have that tied to any persona I have online. That's like saying Russia is an apartheid state because they don't let Ukrainians vote. Yeah. All right, let's see here. I'm kind of done with this topic. Oh, wait, hold on. There was one more thing that Shadowrun linked something going on in Chicago. How long have I been streaming? About 4 years. Right around like that 4-year mark for me at this point. No, because 2020 I had been streaming for a couple of months before COVID started popping off. So I guess it would have been 4 years in January. Used to do it full time, but then some things happened. Out of curiosity, have you ever considered what it would be like to just be a woman for a day or so, or wake up as one? I'm sure I have.
I don't know why.
Let's see what this was.
I don't know why we're surprised by Trump. How many times does he have to prove we can't be trusted? I don't know why we're surprised by Trump. How many times does he have to prove we can't be trusted?
Okay. Bible time? I'm not doing a Bible segment. If we decide to do the joke Bible, or I guess it's not necessarily a joke, but if we decide to do any segment involving the Bible, then like I'll probably like plan that out, you know. Improve my stream's layout. Listen, I'm a lazy streamer, okay? And when I was doing this full time and actually making bank off of it, I cared more about the layout. But at this point, this is where I come so that I can vent about things that I care about. Other than that, this isn't like I'm not trying to like explode or anything. Unless, you know, the editor, Tron, in YouTube chat, he's kind of making things pop off a little bit. So if it does pop off and I need to, I can. All right. I got some connections. I got some people that can do artwork. All right. I got some people that I can stream with if I need to pop off again. But I'm not at that point right now. Right now, I need to focus on finishing my degree so that I can actually, you know, afford my bills. All right. I need to focus on a coming up move across the country. You know, I just want Kick on screen. Also, if anybody has any suggestions on how to get Kick chat on screen, that would be super awesome. One second. I'm not super traditionally masculine. I bathe quite a lot. Oh no. Panda. All right. You should go on more panels. I can't go on more panels because I'm banned from Twitch and all of the panel shows are hosted on Twitch. What about an OBS capture window on KickChat? I just worry that it's gonna, I mean, we can try that real quick, but like the worry is that it's going to cover up something. Oops, wrong one. Let's see here. Let's do this. Another window capture. Let's do Kick Chat. Oh, look at that. It picked the right one. Let me see here. Let's see if we go like this. Is there... Oh, I can't even make the font bigger. Man, Kick needs to up its game, bro. Yeah, see, it's kind of useless because I can't even change the font size. All right. Free Palestine, you're either going to hate me a little bit or a lot of it because I have the centrist idea on this where we should help Palestinians, but what's going on right now ain't the way to do it. I'm not okay, really quick, just so that people know what I'm responding to, okay? And I want everyone, you know what? I want people to be supportive of Panda Man and not initially just shit on him. I'm not super traditionally masculine. The first thing that you said right here is insane. I bathe quite a lot. It is not feminine to bathe a lot. It is not feminine to be clean. Please continue to shower. If you're having issues with body odor, then that does not make you more masculine. Good God. SEO must be working. Hey, that's Tron's doing. All right, let's see here. Don't like sports. That's also totally fine. I like table games like chess. Why is that not masculine? And also, it's not non-masculine to not like the feel of facial hair. I can't tell if like you should like. Never mind. Anyways, yes, keep bathing. More people washing their ass is better. Yes, be hygienic. It's not a non-masculine thing. Okay, let's see what's going on in Chicago, guys. Pro-Palestine encampment enters its third day on Quad. Check that out. Okay. Oh my God, this is a long article. With small font? Why did you link me this? You couldn't have given me something that like gives a summary, my guy? Okay, I'm not doing this. All right, let's see. Let's see what else is going on in the world.
On Capitol Hill, sources telling CNN House Republican leaders are planning to kill a motion by Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene to oust Speaker Mike Johnson. Today, Greene announced that she's going to force a vote to remove him next week.
There's some things. The protester fight at UCLA was crazy. Yeah, we actually have pretty decent viewership now. Maybe after we watch this and get this segment out, I just need to have like one train of thought for 30 minutes. All right. And then we'll go back to the long, rambling all over the place stuff. But there are so many things, I'm not going to lie, happening across the country that makes me feel like Republicans are trying to throw the election. Because in their heart of hearts, they know that another 4 years of Trump would actually kill us. There's something like Marjorie Taylor Greene ousting another Speaker of the House, like multiple states that are Republican states pushing hard to have the most restrictive abortion bills that they possibly can. Like, not something that they couldn't wait until after the election to do, by the way. They could wait until after, and they could just say, like, fuck you to the constituents if they actually cared about the issue. Right? But, like, you look at all of these states. Look at North Carolina, I believe, that has the guy that's running for governor who's like this Nazi apologist, like openly Nazi apologist. Like he says that like what Hitler did wasn't that bad. He questions the numbers on like how many Jews were killed in the Holocaust. He talks black people acting like apes and monkeys. He says the most like crazy shit that you could possibly imagine. Just like political suicide shit. Like when we look at 2016 Trump and what our attitudes back in 2016 were, we would see the stuff that he said, like rapists, murderers, and thieves. We're like, disqualifying comment for. If there was someone like saying, yeah, I don't even know if there were 6 million Jews killed in the Holocaust, there would be no support for that person for president. Why the fuck did this guy make it through the primaries in North Carolina? Why, when abortion is like the biggest motivator for Democrats to go out and vote, are important states like, I believe, I know Arizona is one. I know Florida is one. I believe Georgia is one. Alabama, I mean, they're not going to swing out support for, I mean, Democrats aren't going to win there ever. But like the crazy shit going on in Alabama with the IFV stuff, right? Being broadcast on the national stage, it really makes me think, just like somewhere in my mind, like maybe these motherfuckers don't want Trump to win. Maybe they just, you know what? Maybe these guys are like, you know what? Let's piss off the Democrats enough to where they like vote for Biden again. And then we can start doing our crazy stuff, but like without him as a threat. That's something that I think in the back of my mind. When I see Marjorie Taylor Greene, you know, after a bipartisan bill that both parties have been trying to get through, both the House and the Senate, for how many months? Since October? And nobody's been able to vote on it until this guy. And now she's going to oust a second speaker in 6 months? It makes me feel like they're trying to throw the fucking election. But let's watch. We'll start it back over because I've been yapping too much.
We have new developments on Capitol Hill. Sources telling CNN House Republican leaders are planning to kill a motion by Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene to oust Speaker Mike Johnson. Today, Greene announced that she's going to force a vote to remove him next week.
I think every member of Congress needs to take that vote and let the chips fall where they may. And so next week, I am going to be calling this motion to vacate. Absolutely calling it.
I just realized, and I say this all the time, and I should just stop saying it. I don't like the idea of commenting on people's appearances because obviously that's a mean thing to do. Also, it doesn't really like illustrate any kind of real point. But there's always been something uncanny valley about Marjorie Taylor Greene. I've never really been able to place it until now when we have like a pretty close, you know, up close and personal shot of her face. Her eyes are incredibly close together, are they not? It's like, you know, in the wild, predators' eyes are on the front of their head. Meanwhile, herbivores are on the side of their head because they need to watch out for predators, and predators only have to focus on the one, you know, prey animal. Maybe she's just like, maybe she is a wolf. Maybe she is an alpha wolf or some shit. But that's a little unsettling. I finally identified it. Okay, sorry.
I can't wait to see Democrats go out and support a Republican speaker and have to go home to their primaries and have to run for Congress again, having supported a Republican speaker, a Christian.
Yeah, they can very proudly do that. Even the Democrats don't want more chaos. I think that like the biggest split at this current moment between I should qualify that. Not the biggest split between, you know, people in America, because there's obviously multiple different layers. You know, we could say like, you know, authoritarian versus more like democracy type stuff. We could say like we're living in different fact-based worlds, but like I feel like there is a huge split in the voting population, where there's a huge segment of the population that does want to go back to business as usual, that does not want the constant fucking chaos that's been going on for the, you know, I was going to say the past 8 years, but like, let's be real, 4 years under Trump. And then in terms of chaos at home, really only in the past year has there been political chaos. Yeah. There's been political fights, but that's not chaos. The constant like shifting of leadership in Congress, not being able to pass a goddamn bill. Like that's fucking chaos. That's unworkable. Our entire system is ground to a halt because the Republicans don't want to hand a single W to Biden, even if it's something that they would normally support. They don't want, you know, something that they would support to pass under Biden, because then Biden will have a talking point for the election. The biggest split is average intelligence and retards. True. And everyone in my chat is at least average intelligence. anyways, but like, it's just, I think that Democrats who vote to keep the current speaker in the House, even if he's a Republican, keep him as speaker, they can go and say, hey, listen, do I like voting for a Republican speaker? No. But do I want us to have a stable democracy? Do I want us to have a stable government where we can actually get things done, where we can work in a bipartisan manner like we did for this recent Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan aid package, where we can work together to pass important bills? Yes, that is something that I do want. And so, yes, I did vote to keep, I keep on wanting to say Michael Scott. I know his name isn't Michael Scott, and only right, Speaker Johnson, Mike Johnson. I don't know why I'm keep thinking Michael Scott. I voted to keep Speaker Johnson as the speaker, even though he's a Republican. Why? Because I want to get shit done. I want to get shit done. And that has been the resounding message from Democrats for the longest time. And you know what? The Democrats actually deliver when they say that. Like, we can look at the 4 years of Trump and we can see like we're trying to get things through bipartisanly. Nothing got through in a bipartisan manner under Trump. Trump wasn't able to negotiate shit with the Democrats because his entire thing was attack, 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 attack. And there was no, consolation, and there was no, compromise. There was nothing like that. Meanwhile, when Biden gets into office, like, we can see a ton of compromise in the, a ton of compromise in almost every single bill that is passed under Biden. And it's really, really cool. As someone that is a politics junkie, as someone that is like hoping to go into, I don't know if I'd ever like run for office necessarily, but like helping with campaigns and helping with outreach and helping with fundraising and helping get people elected to office that I think are good, candidates for office, people that will actually help American, people. Like, to see things like the infrastructure bill or the CHIPS Act or the Inflation Reduction Act or the American Rescue Plan or, any of the myriad fucking huge bills that have gotten through under the Biden administration, all of these things required intensive work and cross speak from both parties to come to a consensus on something that we can pass, both in the Senate and in the House. And they delivered. And that's what people want, I think, right now. I think people are tired of the constant chaos. So yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene, give the Dems another W.
Christian conservative. I think that'll play well. I'm excited about it.
Let's get up to Capitol Hill and see action from lawmakers.
Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Alex, you heard there, pushing forward with her plan. She says that she will bring this motion to vacate to the floor at some point next week. And at that press conference this morning, she stressed that she's doing so because she wants to get each and every member on the record for that. But the reality of the
really quick, don't underestimate the power of leftists wanting to lose, because they see Biden working with Republicans as a bad thing and want Biden to unilaterally do everything he can. Here's the real cheat code. Lefties have no political power in the United States. They have social power, but they have no political power. One very interesting, I think it was a study on polling. I think it came out of Florida, of all places. No. It came out of Georgia, which is why it was so interesting, is that there was this huge study where they were like asking people, who would you vote for in the election today? or like, or who are you supporting in the election? And Biden had like 36%, and then Trump had 45%. There were a bunch of people saying, I'm not going to vote at all, right? And then they were like, okay, right now, you are given no, or they said they're either not going to vote or they're going to vote third party, right? Then you see people get asked the same question, but slightly different. You have to vote for someone today. The only candidates are Trump or Biden, and there is no abstaining. Who are you voting for? I think Biden broke 50%. He went from 36% support when there was like an option besides Biden or the option to abstain. And then like when it came down to it, like, all right, it's election day. You have to vote. Donald Trump or Joe Biden. Almost all of the people that were either abstaining or voting third party went over to Biden. That's very interesting. I've been saying for years now that we are seeing the dying gasps of the Republican Party, and as with all death throes, it will only get worse before it gets better. I don't know. Well, I guess I can imagine how it could get worse, but like for it to get worse than this is a very scary thought. I pull this up later in stream. No.
This effort is that it will not succeed, and that's because of that significant announcement yesterday by House Democratic leadership saying that they will, in essence, kill this resolution and save Speaker Johnson, voting with some Republicans here. And the reality is that many Republicans in their conference are not in support of what their colleague is doing. Here's what my colleague Manu Raju collected from this morning on Capitol Hill hearing from after Marjorie Taylor Greene said that she's.
And honestly, all the Democrats have to do is give enough support from like centrist Dems to push Johnson over the edge. I don't think there are nearly enough Republicans to actually oust him without Democrat support.
Pushing forward with this effort.
I disagree with that.
Why?
Marjorie had every right to do it, but it's not the time.
I wish she wouldn't do that.
I wish she would. You know? God, you know what? People hate on the South all the time, but listen to these old Southern men. Well, I wish she wouldn't do that.
Forward with his effort.
I disagree with that.
Why?
Marjorie had every right to do it, but it's not the time.
I wish she wouldn't do that. That's sad to hear. You know, we got more important things to work on instead of that.
Bless her heart. I think this is all about wanting more attention and not producing actual results for the people we represent.
It is a question that deserves an answer, and it deserves an answer with a recorded vote, not in the press.
Now, you heard that lost congressman there, Congressman Davidson. He said that he will vote to advance the motion to vacate. He potentially is one of only a handful of Republicans we believe that Taylor Greene has the support of here as she pushes forward to this. Now, we know, according to sources, that Republican leaders, they want to move very quickly to kill this, potentially even the same day that she brings this up at some point next week. Of course, Alex and Brianna, Republican leaders here, want to put this all in the distance behind them.
Bless her heart. That was one of the most loaded bless her hearts that I have heard. Bless your.
There is no, if you live in the South, you know this, all right? I've lived in the South my entire life. There is never a moment where someone says, bless your heart, where it's not loaded with something else. There's something underneath that bless your heart. It's never a good thing, all right? It's either pity or it's hatred. It's either, oh man, you poor stupid bastard, or it's fuck you, you dumb stupid bastard. There's literally nothing else. All right. If you live in the South, you know, and you're just gonna have to take our word for it. The good old bless her heart, not anything close to Southern. I know that. What's that supposed to mean? Yeah, that shit. You hear that coming from someone, bro? That cuts. That cuts.
Your heart, Sondland, but I actually mean it. Thank you so much for that live shot from Capitol Hill.
Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene says she is moving forward with her plan to oust
House Speaker Mike Johnson, she's mainly citing his vote to send aid to Ukraine, but the vast majority of her party is against her, and top Democrats say they will vote to save him if it comes to that. Jackie Kucinich and Jeff Zeleny are here now. I mean, just start with that, Jeff Zeleny. It kind of got lost with all of this news, but Hakeem Jeffries, the top Democrat, coming out of this meeting yesterday saying, okay, he's got our back.
And this is something that they've been planning quietly, but have never said so explicitly out loud. But Marjorie Taylor Greene is sort of using that as a reason for she's doing it. And she said, I can't wait to see all the chaos in Democratic primaries across the country. But I think the bigger point, the statement from Speaker Johnson on this, responding to this, he said, wrong for the country, wrong for the House. We'll see what actually happens with this. I don't know if her bluff can be called or not, but.
Well, Manu Raju is now with us, who, of course, has been talking to members of Congress all morning long. Manu, what are you hearing?
Yeah, I've been speaking to a lot of Republicans. Most of the Republicans are opposed to this effort. In fact, just talked to Congressman Matt Gaetz, who was, of course, the ringleader of that first successful effort to try to oust Kevin McCarthy in the fall. He does not support this effort to oust Mike Johnson, believes it is coming at the wrong time politically for his party. And that's really what a lot of those hardliners who do not support ousting Mike Johnson. They say they may not support some of his deals that he has cut, but they certainly do not support the timing of all of this, worry that it could be a backlash against them politically. Now, there is some division, though, within the ranks. One Republican, Warren Davidson of Ohio, told me that he will support actually advancing it, because at first there will be a procedural motion next week to try to kill this measure.
Who did he
That is what
say?
the Democrats plan to vote.
Warren Davidson
of Ohio told me
him.
that he will support actually advancing it, because at first there will be a procedural motion next week to try to kill this measure. That is what the Democrats plan to vote in large numbers to kill it on the first motion. Warren Davidson told me he would vote to advance it. So Marjorie Taylor Greene has a handful of Republicans who may vote for her on the actual first motion, but ultimately she will fail overwhelmingly because Democrats en masse, with most Republicans, plan to vote to kill it on that first vote next week, Dana.
I mean, what a story, what a moment. Thank you so much, Manu, for that reporting.
Wow. Marjorie Taylor Greene again. Again. You find the parts of philosophy that I find so uninteresting to be the most interesting part. I don't need to go that deep into it. I've already had my my break from reality due to my interest in philosophy. I don't need to have another one. All right. Let's see here. Law enforcement mobilizing at UT Dallas. I don't understand why there are protests. It's hard to explain. There are protests because of what's going on in Israel, Palestine. Why they're happening at college campuses is because college students feel like traditionally you're going to see a lot of protest movements start in colleges and young people overwhelmingly. That's where protests happen because they don't have a lot to lose, really that much. They don't have a job yet, right? They're still in college. They feel like they can change the world by yelling loud enough. And to a certain extent, that's not necessarily untrue. But you have to do it in a targeted way. There are protests because they want all these universities to divest from Israel. But I don't think anyone's going to do that. This whole Israel thing has been going on for a long time. Why now? Well, it's been going, like the protests have been going on for weeks. I can't say exactly why. Like, I think that there have been protests at college campuses on and off since October 7th. But why it's happening like this right now, I don't know if there was like an inciting incident or if Columbia University just started having like a big protest and then it just started spreading across the nation as like some protest movements do, where like one big protest at one place is the epicenter, and then they just spread out from there. But yeah, it's just overall the Israel-Palestine stuff. Exposure and accessibility to worldwide footage. I mean, yeah, like we can talk about that aspect of it, or we can talk about the demographics of it, or we can talk about what they're fighting for, or what they think they're fighting for, or how they're fighting for it. Like, there's a lot of different angles to talk about the protests. At the end of the day, like, again, I think that it's good that young people feel like it is their civic duty, or like it is important for them to protest. The problem comes in when it comes from a bad place, like some of these protest movements chanting support for Hamas, right? I heard people were paid to start the protests. Again, like, I've heard that, but I need someone to, I'm not as keyed into the schizophrenics as I used to be. Okay. So if someone has some kind of link that I can, like, maybe we can watch it or something like that, something that can show that they're talking about, you know, oh, we have proof that these protests are astroturfed. That'd be interesting. But, you know, I don't even know where to begin talking about people paying to start the protests. Every time there's a protest anywhere in the United States, no matter what side you're on, people are going to say that this is like astroturfed because it's misrepresenting their side, right? I don't know. What I think this is I think that it's just a bunch of college students. Probably, like, they talk about, oh, well, these are all largely the same tents. It's probably one of the cheaper tents that you can buy off of Amazon. What were they chanting in support of Hamas? Like, we'll do a second October 7th, or let me see. Let me see here.
Dozens of arrests made overnight at NYU as pro-Palestinians block roads around Yale. We also have this video here coming in out of Columbia University, where they've canceled in-person classes after protests there have gotten more active with
Honestly, I was pretty terrified. I don't know
lawmakers
bothered with, but I wouldn't in person.
Someone help me find this protest continue.
The Passover is set to begin at sundown. Administration's safe
continue. CBS News correspondent going on campus.
Columbia, you talked with one student shift, but I do want to be completely surrounded by pro-Palestinian. We've seen.
There's got to be a video of them somewhere on YouTube, because I've seen the videos of them chanting this shit, and it's like fucking appalling. Yeah, like there's no way that they think that this is actually helping.
हम क्या चाहते हैं आजादी हम पैलेस्टाइन की आजादी अरे पैलेस्टाइन की आजादी अरे छीन के लेंगे आजादी अरे छीन के लेंगे आजादी है हक हमारा
This isn't it.
है हक हमारा आजादी छीन के बोलो आजादी चिल्ला के बोलो आजादी अरे जोर से बोलो आजादी कोलंबिया में आजादी कॉर्नेल में भी आजादी
1 second. Is this a video of it?
The banality of evil is a term coined by the 20th century political theorist Hannah.
Please, if you're going to link something immediately after I ask for a link, please let that link be related. Let it be something related. Uh-oh. You can kind of hear it. You can kind of hear them say, who are they talking about? It's someone make us proud, kill another soldier now. Al-Qassam, you'll make us proud. Which one was this? The armed branch of an Islamic movement. So they're saying Hamas, basically. Militant forces. Got it. These are Al-Qassam brigades. Got it. Why can't the drums play a consistent beat that they're chanting to? Can I ask you guys that? Like, as a music person, is this as jarring to you guys as it is to me to hear just like discordant fucking random drums while there is a chant? Why not just use the drums as part of the chant? Fuck me. Not good.
This Palestinian protest raging into the night at Columbia University. This comes after the Ivy League schools is a series.
Is there more clips of what they were saying? Why is this so hard to find? Why is this so hard to find on YouTube?
Never forget the 7th of October. That will happen. Never forget the 7th of October. Not 1 more time. Not 5 more times. Not 10 more times. Not 100 more times. Not 1,000 more times. Not 10,000 times.
Yeah, that protester reportedly yelling that at 2 Jewish...
You shouldn't have people in your protest movement screaming that more terrorist attacks are coming and that they're happy about it. You shouldn't have people protesting in favor of terrorists. This is my personal opinion, but terrorism is bad. And my personal opinion is shared by like 90% of the world. I'm just saying, terrorism is bad.
Jewish Columbia students, I don't know if you could make that out, but that the 7th of October will be every day for them. Intensifying anti-Israel protests at Columbia University this week, now prompting the school rabbi to warn Jewish students to leave campus and return home. The rabbi saying that the students' safety cannot be guaranteed, quote, in the face of extreme anti-Semitism and anarchy, as more than 100 Palestine supporters have been arrested at the New York school this week. Also telling Jews...
What's also so weird to me, as someone that went to BLM protests, okay? I went to 2 BLM protests in Houston, and both times there was violence. The first time I went, we showed up late, and that was a bad choice. we showed up late thinking that there would be like a march, and instead it was just people running from cops. And so we left. Because I'm not about to get arrested for like fighting cops or resisting arrest or some shit like that. The second time we went, it was an actually organized protest that was peaceful until like fucking shitheads at the very end after they said, all right, everyone, we're done. We marched, right? We marched from, outside of downtown Houston through downtown Houston. It was the biggest fucking crowd I've ever been in my entire life. And it was inspirational. I think that people should be politically active. I think that people should go to protests at least once in their life. Like for something that they care about. I think that's a good thing. I think it's part of our civic duty to have our voice heard, right? But when you start doing violence, you completely lose the moral right. You completely lose so much of like the good faith of the people watching you. Sounds like a lot of blocked traffic. I mean, like it was a scheduled thing, right? They got a permit from the city. So it wasn't an unorganized, stupid shithead protest like these guys are doing, or like the people who were blocking traffic that everyone was super fucking mad about were doing. This is stuff like, hey, by the way, this road's going to be blocked off in 2 days. Hey, by the way, tomorrow, this road's going to be blocked off. Hey, this road is blocked off. There's a detour, right? It's just like, there are ways that you can have your voice heard. There are ways that you can speak truth to power in a way that it's hard for them to ignore, right? Without being violent. People get so mad about this idea like, oh, well, you just worry about decorum. You just care about, optics. Meanwhile, people are dying. It's like, I want less people to die. And the people that I need to convince that is an important issue do care about the decorum. They do care about the optics. Therefore, I'm going to do what plays into the best possible outcome for the issue that I care about. The days of, decent protesting, of effective protesting, I feel like are completely gone. I think that there are just too many bad actors and too much communication and open communication with these bad actors that do want there to be anarchy, that do want there to be, lawlessness, to, they won't listen to us unless we fuck shit up. What came out of the 2020 protests? What came out of the 2020 protests? A federal ban on chokeholds. Nothing materially changed. They got no wins. And you know why that is? Because they didn't have specific, actionable demands. They didn't protest in a way that would get a broader, population behind their movement. It's mainly those two things. People don't support Hamas in the United States. They don't like what Israel's doing, but they understand that, like, hey, the Israelis are rightfully pissed off that these guys came in and fucking shot a bunch of civilians. Yes, pay Confederates to manipulate idiot college students and use them as cannon fodder. I don't know what that means.
Jewish students today, quote, "it deeply pains."
No one cares what Israel is doing? Yes, more people than you think do care about what Israel is doing. But most people are going to be critical of Israel while still broadly supporting them. Not anyone in the Arab world, not anyone in the U.S. I'm sorry, you're just wrong. I would usually agree because, like, you can look at basically any other, like, mass killing of civilians. Like I mentioned earlier, I think it was Uganda or Sudan. Like, isn't there currently a civil war in Sudan? Sudan civil war. Death toll. 2 million people have died since 2011. 2 million people. I wonder if there's like a graph to see like how many deaths there have been over like what amount of time. You know what? Scrolling this is probably really dangerous to do it that fast, because what if there is a dead body? Oh. Since the 15th of April. Since the 15th of April of this year, 15,550 people have died. But people don't care about that. People do care what goes on in Israel-Palestine. They don't really care what happens literally anywhere else. Even though there is another, like, actually documented genocide going on in Myanmar right now of the Rohingya Muslims. I hope I'm saying that right. There was a Uyghur genocide in China, which these groups that are protesting this fight, which I wouldn't classify as a genocide, they supported what was going on in Xinjiang. Egypt and Jordan are largely supportive. Yes, their governments are largely supportive. Okay, let's keep going.
Pains me to say that I would strongly recommend you return home as soon as possible and remain home until the reality in and around campus has dramatically improved. The White House also speaking on this matter today, saying, quote, while every American has the right to peaceful protest, calls for violence and physical intimidation targeting Jewish students and the Jewish community are blatantly anti-Semitic, unconscionable, and dangerous. They have absolutely no place on any college campus or anywhere in the United States of America. And we are joined now by Columbia University student Jonas Jew. We appreciate you joining us, Jonas. Thanks so much.
Oh my God. I just want more of the like examples of them saying like fucking crazy shit.
Class this week or not.
What was the most shocking thing that you've seen in the last few days?
Well, the most shocking thing, I think, was that video that you just showed that I took on Thursday night. And I think that was
Wait, I'm so sorry. Am I racist? This guy's Asian. Is he Jewish?
And we are joined now by Columbia University student Jonas Jew. We appreciate you joining us, Jonas. Thanks so much. And I do want to ask you about this video that you posted on X showing the protester yelling at the...
His last name is Jew? Do. Oh, man. Ooh. Oh man, that was that was almost a real Pepe moment, wasn't it? It's Jesus Christ. Even the captions got it wrong. Okay, let's see if...
What was the most shocking thing that you've seen in the last few days?
Well, the most shocking thing, I think, was that video that you just showed that I took on Thursday night. And I think that was very shocking to me because I have seen things on social media, but actually witnessing it in real life, actually witnessing 2 or 3 of my Jewish friends there talking to police officers and just being shouted at, saying that they want a terrorist attack that killed 1,200 Israelis to happen over and over again, to happen every single day. I think that that was the most shocking thing, to simply be there witnessing it and recording it as it happened.
We know that your school's president took a firm stance against anti-Semitism during a congressional hearing this week. Has it had any impact on anti-Semitism on campus, or is the school doing enough?
Well, I actually think that anti-Semitism has gotten considerably worse after the anti-Semitism hearing, which is kind of ironic. But the reality is that this is...
No one cares about... Here's the thing. I don't think that these people, if this wasn't already like a big, a big thing, right? Like Israel, Gaza, Palestine, all that stuff. If this wasn't as close to home as it is in the United States, since we're like so interconnected with Israel, them being our strongest ally in the Middle East, no one would care. But because we have so many ties with Israel, And Israel does, hey guys, I'm sorry, as much support as I give to Israel, Israel does fuck up quite a bit and has fucked up quite a bit over the past, 80 years of their existence. As much as support as I give them, like, there's deserved criticism. Oh, I'm sorry, 76 years old, not 80. I guess that criticism only counts if this continues for 4 more years. Like, anyways, like, Israel fucks up and it becomes news, and then the Palestinians do fucking crazy shit, and then Israel responds, and then people feel bad for the Palestinians because of Israeli fuck ups. And also, I feel like, especially in the past decade and a half, the past like 15 years, there's been way more push to both sides the narrative than there used to be. Before, it really was like, if you criticize Israel, then you're anti-Semitic. And with more coverage on Israel-Palestine, with more interconnected world that we live in now with the internet and being able to see these images, and you can't really escape them because it's all over the news and shit. Like, I can see why that would cause people to go out and protest, right? The only people who care are angry, self-hating Jewish people and Palestinians who make money. No, I'm sorry, you're wrong.
Because the protests have really been invigorated by it. They have taken advantage of the timing of the anti-Semitism hearing to draw more attention on Colombia. And as a result, a lot of people who are saying a lot of anti-Semitic things are now coming to campus and saying these things, or even coming inside the gates and saying these things. So I think it's a little bit of a mismatch between what the university president is saying to Congress, we are closing the campus gates, we care about our Jewish students, and the reality of the Jewish students' lived experiences on the ground here, which is quite different. And, I think that they've allowed this encampment to, grow and go on. It was on Thursday that they immediately, basically a day after the encampment was first set up, they arrested, over 100 of student protesters. But now they've all moved to the other lawn, and the university public safety is nowhere to be found. They're not issuing warnings. They're not saying anything about how they're going to clear this. So we'll have to see where this goes.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe.
Okay. What else should we go over today, guys? I was supposed to, the content that was planned I was supposed to be moderating a debate, but it sounds like one of the people just decided not to respond. Check out my 7-minute link. Which one was it the banality of evil? Sure.
To explain and describe this specific kind of evil that was.
If there is anything that you guys want to link, by the way, now's probably a decent time. Probably watch this too because I'm interested in that.
Present in totalitarian Nazi Germany. What does this peculiar phrase mean? What are its implications? And how does it fit into Hannah Arendt's thought more broadly? My name is Dr. Moore, by the way. I teach great books at St. Thomas University. And in this video, I'm going to help you understand the banality of evil. So the banality of evil is a term that comes from this very famous work that Arendt wrote called Eichmann in Jerusalem. The subtitle, in fact, is A Report on the Banality of Evil. In Eichmann in Jerusalem, Arendt reports on the 1961 trial in Israel of the Nazi war criminal Adolf Eichmann. And in that work, Arendt argues, and this is perhaps controversial, that Eichmann is representative. The way he thinks, the way he acts is representative of the whole problem of totalitarian evil. Arendt thought by paying attention to Eichmann, by studying the things he said.
I've actually the past couple of weeks, just when I go to sleep, I have to be listening to something. I have headphones in and I'm listening to something because it puts me to sleep. I've been listening to a lot of stuff about the what's the Nuremberg trials. I've been listening to the hunting down of Nazis that escaped justice. And it is so interesting. It is so interesting how these motherfuckers did really, especially the ones that, Nuremberg. Did I not say Nuremberg? Did I say something else? Whoops. I listen to Windigood and stuff. I've done that before, but right now I am really interested in, extremist politics. I'm interested in what pulls people into that direction and why images of extremist ideologies get sanitized over time, right? Have I considered listening to Joe Rogan's show to sleep? No, I'm worried that would lower my IQ by like at least 3 standard deviations. Absolutely not happening. But it's so interesting. Like, I think it's fuck, was it Mengele, the Nazi doctor? He turned himself in. And or was it Eichmann? I can't remember which one it was. It's one of these two guys. But they turned themselves in thinking, like, oh, I'll just turn myself into the Americans because those Soviets, they're gonna rape me. They're gonna fucking flame me alive. They're gonna set me on fire. They're gonna do some crazy shit to me. Like, I'm dead if the Soviets catch me. So they fled the Eastern Front, and they were trying to get captured by the Americans because they thought that at least the Americans are civilized. And so one of these two motherfuckers, they're just like, yo, yeah, this is my name. Yep, that's me. I'm the top SS guy, because what they were doing was just so, the banality of evil, right? Perfectly encapsulated. It was just so rote and, everyday activity that they didn't think that much was going to happen to them. Oh, well, I'll go to jail for a couple of years because, it's a war. We lost the war. No. Motherfucker, you were doing Nazi doctor stuff. You were fusing twins together in fucking concentration camps. And believe it or not, most people find that sort of shit disgusting. But a good number of them were so worried about getting captured by the Soviets because they thought the Soviets, or like Russians or Eastern Europeans or Slavs, were so bestial as to not be human that they would have no chance there, but they didn't think that anyone else would really have that much of a problem with what they did. I thought you said you're not interested in philosophy. I am interested in philosophy, but I'm only interested in philosophy insofar as it's like applicable to my own life. I like to listen to this guy named Sondsol to sleep. I can always count on nothing happening. Based.
And did the way he acted, we could learn something about the totalitarian subject. In particular, she thought we could understand why so many people, so many seemingly ordinary people, would participate in totalitarian regimes, would follow orders and actively participate in crimes against humanity. This is Arendt's major question. How does that happen? And how can we prevent it from happening again in the future? So let's start with a quick definition of banality, because this is maybe an unfamiliar term. It's not something we use in everyday speech. So banality typically means trite or trivial or commonplace. And I think that third term, commonplace, is the one we want to focus on. Now, to say that evil is banal is somewhat jarring. Arendt, I think, means this term to be almost a paradox. It's kind of like saying the normality of murder or the simplicity of adultery. But what Arendt wants us to understand is that when it comes to the evil of totalitarian regimes, there is something ordinary, everyday about it. Arendt draws our attention to the fact that the Holocaust involves many ordinary processes. It requires paperwork and trains, transportation, government offices doing their job. And many of these ordinary features of human life, medicine, legislation, these are turned, contorted, perverted. Typically, when we think about evil, we're thinking about something out of the ordinary, unusual, maybe even extraordinary or unnatural. Traditionally, we understand evil to be something deviant or abnormal. And it's characterized by a bad will, by which we normally mean either a weak will, like someone who succumbs to temptation, or a malicious will, like someone who willfully does bad things. But this is crucial. Arendt says in the totalitarian context, evil has lost the character by which we recognize it. Totalitarian evil is something different. It's organized. In fact, it's orderly and even lawful. And it's defined by conformity, participation, and efficient systems like modern bureaucracies.
Conformity, participation, efficient systems, and complacency or fear in the populace. Like, don't get it twisted. The Nazis had a ton of control over the population. They did have a lot of support from the population, but not total support from the population. A lot of people didn't like the amount of intrusiveness into their everyday life in Nazi Germany. They didn't like that with every time someone gets married, they have to get married under like Nazi doctrine and have someone come in that's like going to do the service. Maybe it's a Christian service, but they have to talk about how great Germany is. And they didn't like that, like, you know, average wedding or birthday or Christmas gifts would be Mein Kampf, because if you didn't have Mein Kampf in your house, you might get in trouble. You might be considered a collaborator or some shit, right? Nobody thought that these things were great. Well, I say nobody. There was not as much like total devotion to the cause as people think. And in fact, like a lot of people in Germany, when the Allies were coming through, I'm sorry, when the Western powers were coming through, the Soviets did, they did pretty heinous stuff themselves. But the Western powers coming through, they were seen as like liberators to a lot of Germans, right? Like, yeah, we lost the war. Yeah, that kind of sucks. But also, like, thank God the Nazis aren't in control anymore, because Jesus Christ, it's everywhere all the time, right? Now, did all of the people in Germany like fully support the Holocaust? No. Were the overwhelming majority of people, to the point of like near totality of the people in Germany, either too scared or too weak-willed to fight back against what was going on? Yeah.
And this kind of organized evil allows for evil on an unprecedented scale. But precisely because it's so orderly, lawful, it doesn't look like any evil we're familiar with. Totalitarian evil doesn't look like evil in the traditional sense. And what this means, Arntz, is that evil in the modern world has a different character than it has traditionally had. In the pre-modern world, genocide necessarily involved violence and weaponry. But in the totalitarian context, participating in a genocide might look very different. In fact, the work you do as a participant might look no different than the work of a bureaucrat or a typical government official. So her theory of the banality of evil is an attempt to help us understand this new psychology of evil. Part of
it's how many layers away from the act of killing you can separate people, right? Like when the Holocaust first began, before they had like the mass death camps, they had to fuck up, like I mean like with alcohol. They had to booze up their soldiers to shoot people into trenches, because it was so unbelievably gruesome, so unbelievably it was horrible to participate in, for it to happen to you, that they had to really, really, really force people at the beginning, right? But then, like, as things got more streamlined and as they found more efficient ways of, enacting the genocide, there's people, okay, there's a guy that's operating the trains, there's a guy that's going to be helping people load into the trains. There's going to be someone that's taking down the names of people getting on the trains, right? There's going to be people who are cooking. They're going at the concentration camps. There are going to be people, like there are so many different layers of separation for so many of the people that were integral to the act of genocide, that because of so many layers in between, like the ultimate evil act and like what the guy writing down the names of the people going to the death camps who knew what was going on, they can justify it in their minds, right?
Eichmann's defense at his trial was that he had never killed anyone. And this gets to the heart of it, because though Eichmann saw himself as doing nothing out of the ordinary, he was just doing his job, the same as any government official. He was also participating in this great historical crime, this crime against humanity. But the confusion comes in because Eichmann's day-to-day existence, his lived experience, is confusingly close to the experience of any ordinary bureaucrat. He's following schedules, he's attending meetings. His work looks like ordinary work, when actually it's evil. So what Arendt perceives is precisely the scale of these new crimes necessitate, they require the institutions and the processes of modern
speed it up
life.
a little
They
bit more.
require modern bureaucracy. But what that means is the people who participate in these massive crimes aren't on the front lines. They aren't, in a sense, doing the evil thing in the way we traditionally understand people doing evil things. They're kept at arm's length from the evil, but that doesn't make them less guilty or less responsible. What it does do, it seems, is facilitate a kind of self-delusion. People participating in totalitarian evil can delude themselves into thinking, I'm just doing a job. You fill out the paperwork, you authorize a sum of money to be moved from one account to another account, or you fill out the paperwork that authorizes the use of lethal force against a population of people. In both instances, you're doing paperwork, and that's how totalitarianism works. One question that really emerges from Arendt's work, though, is whether the case of Adolf Eichmann is generalizable. Is Adolf Eichmann typical of the person living in a totalitarian regime? Throughout her work, Arendt emphasizes that Eichmann was especially thoughtless, and she argues that this is characteristic of people living in totalitarian regimes, but it's also possible that Eichmann was just extraordinarily thoughtless. So was Eichmann just a strange person, or is his strangeness, his odd, almost inhumanity, representative of the conditions of totalitarianism? Arendt believes it's the latter, and given that totalitarian regimes, totalitarian evil does depend on large numbers of people turning their brains off and not thinking about the purpose of the paperwork in front of them, she might be right. One other question that should trouble us, or maybe even haunt us: are there examples of the banality of evil going on in the world around us right now? Are there examples of the banality of evil in our everyday lives in the 21st century? Arendt would probably say any place, any domain where bureaucracies have lost sight of human things and human conditions and instead are obsessed with data, with numbers, with processes at the expense of human beings, we see the banality of evil emerging. Wherever we see people pressured or encouraged by societal systems or structures to turn a blind eye to human suffering, that's the banality of evil. Arendt is a really fascinating and important thinker, and if you want to know more about her writing on Eichmann, you can follow this link up here. I've also got a whole playlist of videos on Hannah Arendt. That's one of the things I tend to teach a lot in great books, so you can check that out over here. Thanks very much for watching.
Interesting. All right. How are you guys doing? How's YouTube chat doing? 7 people watching over there. Hey, if you haven't liked the video already, look at the pinned comment. Here, I'll show it to you. The pinned comment says, like the stream. It helps a lot. And it does. Please like the stream. It helps me out way more than you could possibly know in the algorithm, etc., etc. We all know about the algorithm. We watch YouTube. I'm also streaming on Kick, and I'm going to respond to chat there. Do you believe I am a charismatic person? There is no way for me to possibly know that. From the very little I know about you, probably not. I don't mean that as like a super big dig, but again, like the only interactions that we've had are like over a voice have been hardcore debates. So can't really glean if you're charismatic there. All right, let's see here. Oh, you know what? I'm super interested to see about this because the Hunter Biden legal team is threatening to sue Fox News if they don't issue a retraction for their coverage of the Hunter Biden, investigations. And the reason that they have a case is because, and it'd be nice. Let's see if we can find one that's not from someone that's like so unbelievably biased, because I know Brian Taylor Cohen super is. Hunter Biden Fox lawsuit. A short, please.
Tonight, a very public demand from lawyers for President Biden's son. Hunter Biden's legal team is telling Fox to take down or stamp editor's notes on a raft of stories that relied on the allegations of a now indicted FBI informant.
Yeah, literally, the reason that they have a case here, if you didn't already know, is because Hunter Biden, they have all of these allegations that they've tried to prove over and over and over in the investigative probe from Congress, all of these independent investigators, all these different things. They have, they've brought into Congress to testify against Hunter Biden and to prove that he's done these crimes and link it to Joe Biden. But at the end of the day, what's happened? Nothing. Why? Because every single major source of intel that they had about these allegations has been shown to be actual foreign agents from Russia and China, respectively. The one from China was like a double whammy arms dealer for Iran and China. Don't know exactly what his job was. I just think it's really funny that this guy was a foreign agent moving weapons between Iran and China on the government's behalf. And the Republicans were trying to use that person as, real legitimate source to prove that Biden has been doing something bad. The next guy, literal Russian agent, a guy working for the Russian government who is now under arrest for lying to the FBI. So there is no proof to any of the allegations, and Fox has been the biggest purveyor of pushing out every single claim that they made, saying that's absolutely true, saying that's absolutely proven that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden were selling America, selling American secrets or whatever the fuck they were doing favors. I don't even know what the fucking allegations are because I've tried to figure out what the specific allegations are, but they kind of shift and morph as time goes on.
They're saying it's defamation and that Fox knows it. They also want the network to remove a fictionalized series about Hunter.
Wait, hold on. Sorry. Kick chat. Russia and China aren't the ones running the deep state regime, censoring people on social media and using a fascistic US dollar Keynesian fiat regime causing us so much debt. Russia and China aren't running a deep state regime, censoring people on social media? I'm sorry. That is... I'm actually at a fucking loss for words. I am at a loss for words. Biden isn't a good guy just because they are bad guys. You haven't proved that Biden is a bad guy. And using Russia and China as comparisons, you're saying Russia and China aren't the ones doing XYZ. Meanwhile, their entire state identity is built around censorship. Their entire national identity is having that deep state, having literal oligarchies. Biden isn't a good guy just because they're bad guys. And you don't have to believe that Biden is a good guy. But to compare the two is the most fucking batshit crazy, stupid, low IQ, baboon brain, fucking stupid shit I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. I'm sorry. You actually have to have a subhumanly low IQ to think that Biden is nearly even in the same league in Uncle Sam's monopoly over the dollar, yeah, let's just have like, I can see that you have found your new autistic hyperfixation political topic that is end the fiat currency, end US dollar hegemony, even though you really love the US ostensibly, and you want the US to be, you know, like the most powerful nation on the earth, but you also don't want them to have literally any of the means by which a country has that kind of power. Like, you're a bundle of contradictory beliefs. Biden is not as bad as Xi and Putin to an extent. One second. I love the nation, hate the regime. Cool. One of the major Republican Twitter accounts was run by Russians. Yeah, I mean, like, listen, that's the sad thing, is that like the Republican Party, in terms of like the people that are hardcore Trump supporters, have the Republican Party has been captured by Russian propaganda in the same way that lefties have been captured by Russian propaganda. Like, it's depressing.
Hunter Biden that has featured sexually explicit images that Biden says were private, according to a letter obtained by CNN. Now, it's a very public step that accuses the network of breaking state laws against revenge porn. Joining me now is Tina Gladanian. She is an attorney at Garagos and Garagos, whom Mr. Biden is now hired to handle this Fox case. Defamation, when it comes to a news organization, is typically really difficult in our court system, and for good reason. Why do you think this one will be successful?
So this is not your typical defamation case. This is actually, if you read the letter carefully, it's more of a conspiracy to defame and paint in a false light. And why that's significant is when it's a conspiracy case, that actually eliminates a lot of the classic defenses something like a media organization would have against defamation claims. So that's what definitely sets this apart from other cases. And this is
Well, I'm so curious, like, as someone that is not a lawyer, would defamation not be a possible suit that they could bring? I don't care that Noam Chomsky agrees with you that the Fed is bad. Noam Chomsky is not my wing of the political spectrum. He's much further left than me. Stop bringing up Noam Chomsky as if that guy's opinions are my own. You know what my opinions are. I say them every single fucking time I stream.
obviously so much more than just a conspiracy to defame. As you just mentioned, there's the fictionalized docuseries that Fox Nation has created and produced just for entertainment value. There's absolutely no newsworthy purpose to this.
I wondered about that, though. I mean, if it is fictionalized, we all agree, you agree, they agree, and they have all the disclaimers saying this is not real, this is essentially made up. I mean, because some of the things are literally made up.
Wait, hold on. Let me go back. Sorry, I got triggered by Panda Man again.
For entertainment value, there's absolutely would have against defamation claims. And why that's significant is when it's a conspiracy case, that actually eliminates a lot of the classic defenses something like a media organization would have against defamation claims. So that's what definitely sets this apart from other cases. And this is obviously so much more than just a conspiracy to defame. As you just mentioned, there's the fictionalized docuseries that Fox Nation has created and produced just for entertainment value. There's absolutely no newsworthy purpose to this.
I wondered about that, though. I mean, if it is fictionalized, we all agree, you agree, they agree, and they have all the disclaimers saying this is not real, this is essentially made up. I mean, because some of the things are literally made up. Isn't it just...
Wait, I'm so sorry. Are they saying that there is a fictionalized... Did Fox News make a fictionalized Hunter Biden docuseries? has pulled on a 6-part series in which it staged a mock trial of hypothetical criminal charges against Hunter Biden, which was first posted on the cable network's right-wing streaming service back in October of 2022, was removed only a day after Biden's legal team publicly made its threat. Biden says the network defamed him, among other accusations. We are reviewing the concerns that have just been raised, and out of an abundance of caution in the interim, have taken it down. What was the title? That's insane. It's insane to the degree that, like, if CNN put out a fictionalized January 6th... No, because January 6th actually has evidence that's in the indictment. The indictment has evidence. If CNN had put out a fictionalized docuseries about, like, the Trump piss tapes, the golden shower gate shit, and him being a Russian stooge, I would have the same criticism. That's fucking insane. I bet if you watched it on stream, you would get DMCA'd. Yeah, I'm not going to watch it on stream. It's 6-part docuseries, probably an hour each episode. But, like, bro, that is unhinged. How the fuck can you take... whose idea was it to take fake allegations, and then turn those fake allegations into a fake trial that's never going to happen, and think nothing bad's going to happen, when this obviously has an effect on the current political climate? That is unfucking hinged. What the fuck? I've never heard of this. I am so curious to see Trump is no Russian stooge, and Russia, again, isn't running the American regime. Fuck their governor, but Uncle Sam isn't an angel to our people. I understand that Trump is no literal Russian stooge. And I don't think that I've ever made that claim, even back when I was like a super big fucking lefty. Because I understand what the reality is of what the Mueller report and all of that shit said. I'm sorry, Front Yard Shield. Unless you like learn to like have media literacy and like for as much philosophy as you listen to and read and all of that stuff, as much as you fetishize intelligence, you apply none of the stuff that you've read or learned. You apply none of it. Because you are as much of a partisan hack as fucking Vosh. You are as much of a partisan hack as fucking David Pakman or IRI. Like, they're partisan hacks on one side and you're a partisan hack on the other. It is so easy to look at information and based off of your prior knowledge of factual information to extrapolate and say this is either likely or unlikely. This is insane, bro. Is that Steve Bannon behind him? Sorry.
Art, you know, I put that in quotes, but sure. Essentially.
No, because so you have pure fact, which would be protected, and you also have pure fiction that might be protected. But this is a very bizarre kind of marriage of basically blending in fact and fiction in a way that doesn't allow viewers to decipher what really is fact and what's fiction. So if you watch the docuseries, you see some real life characters from kind of this, whether you want to call it the laptop saga, but these events that are actually occurring. And
I'm sorry. I'm going to stop reading Kick Chat because it's triggering the fuck out of me. If I was anti-Republicans, but a principled ANCAP or libertarian, you would still be against me. Nothing I can do will satisfy you, whether I'm a Republican or a libertarian. That is just flatly not true. Because I have a friend that I met through stream, that I've now met in real life, that is in the Discord on a regular basis, who is a very, very principled libertarian. Not an ANCAP, but a principled libertarian. I can be totally chill with him, even if I disagree. I'm not going to respond to Kick Chat for a while. We can't get through a video without me getting triggered by you. Fuck me.
play themselves, you know, they act as themselves as witnesses in the docuseries. So even though there's a disclaimer at the outset, you then see these real individuals portraying themselves. You see actual images of both Hunter Biden, the president, and other individuals that are involved with them. You see actual emails. And so they present a lot of factual information, but they distort it and they don't give the appropriate context. And then they have, you know, fictionalized dialogue surrounding it. So for an average viewer, it's really impossible to know what is fact and what's fiction. And that is very harmful because then the portrayal is perceived to be true, even though it's not.
Was it a mistake, and does it hurt your case, that Hunter Biden's attorneys, not your firm, but the other attorneys involved in this case, claimed that this was the product, that laptop and the information?
I cannot believe that nobody, after the Dominion lawsuit that cost them how much did it cost them? $787 million, almost $1 billion fucking dollars, because of a defamation suit. In 2020, Fox paid millions to the parents of Seth Rich, a slain Democratic Party staffer. How many times do they have to get fucked by blatantly fucking lying about specific fucking people? How many times do they have to get caught doing that before it's over for them? This is crazy.
On it was a product of Russian disinformation. They suggested that it was fake.
Well, and this doesn't actually say anything to contradict that. I mean, I'm not going to comment.
I mean, it purports that these images are real, that the information that comes from the laptop that is in these Fox reports are real.
No, so these are referred to as hacked, stolen, and or digitally manipulated material. So certainly nobody could dispute that when you see these images, it depicts Hunter Biden. Now, the source of that, again, that has no bearing on the fact that Fox Nation is improperly using that to commercially exploit Hunter, both for monetary gain just from the series, but also to humiliate him and, you know, to maliciously injure him by using images which they know are not with his consent.
And just to be clear, I don't want to belabor this, but for clarity's sake, the position is still that some of these images or information from that laptop is digitally manipulated?
Nothing in our letter takes, yes, the position that we have taken, which is that these images clearly depict Hunter Biden, and they're explicit images. And these are exactly the type of images that the state, I mean, almost every state at this point has what has been labeled as revenge porn laws. And New York State enacted these in 2019. There's both a criminal component and a civil component, and it protects exactly this, images depicting an individual that are intimate, sexually explicit without that person's consent, and that's exactly what this is.
So who are the worst offenders, in your view, at Fox who are responsible for this?
So there was obviously Lev Parnas's congressional testimony last month, and which was really explosive, we thought. And he detailed this BLT team, which included media personalities, and it was in concert with Giuliani and others to basically spread this false narrative, knowing that it was false. And they would have these meetings. The reason it's titled as the BLT team is they were having these meetings at the BLT steakhouse at Trump's hotel in DC at the time. And these were strategy meetings that they were having there to see how they could spread this information. And one person he said this involved a lot of Fox news personalities, but he named Sean Hannity. So that's one person that Mr. Parnas implicated last month, which was interesting. But part of what this letter really does is it's a preservation demand so that so Fox doesn't destroy any of the critical internal communications, emails, text messages, as we saw in Dominion. That's critical to seeing their state of mind and that they knew what they were doing was wrong and they did it anyway.
There's a retraction demand, but if that is met, are you still leaving open the door that there could be a suit here?
Absolutely.
For monetary damages.
Sure. So the letter, again, includes various different claims. So part of it is the retraction demand. There's the debunked bribery allegations that the indicted Smirnov was peddling, and now those have been proven to be false. So that's one component of it. We want them to correct the record as to that. We want them to take down the mock trial of Hunter Biden from all streaming platforms. And of course, we're seeking monetary damages.
All right. Tina Gladian, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
That is actually fucking insane. That is fucking crazy. There is no way. I cannot imagine nobody stopped at the meeting where that was pitched and said, hey guys, now I don't want to be like a stick in the mud here, but could this be considered defamation? Am I permitted to link a short video about religion? No, because I am not interested in talking about that right now. If there's something interesting on, like a news story relevant to right now, then sure. Let's see what this is.
A very long interview that former President Trump, current Republican nominee Trump, did with Time magazine. And he was asked whether or not there was going to be political violence or if he expected political violence in November. And
one thing that is super scary about Trump right now is that he really can say just about anything without without any repercussions. So he could say, you know what? I'm not saying that I want political violence, but do I think that there will be if I lose? Maybe there will, maybe there won't. Like, I just want things to be normal for a little bit, guys. I just want it to be normal for a little bit.
And he responded this way. He says, I do think we're going to win. If we don't win, it depends. It always depends on the fairness of the election. I don't believe they'll be able to do the things they did last time. I don't think they'll be able to get away with it. David Chillin, whether or not there's going to be violence depends on. Responded this way. He says, I do think we're going to win. If we don't win, it depends. It always depends on the fairness of the election. I don't believe they'll be able to do the things they did last time. I don't think they'll be able to get away with it. David Chillin, whether or not there's going to be violence depends on the fairness of the election. I hear in that, Trump is invoking January 6th in regards to these protests, but this seems like something we may be revisiting again and again.
And yet it's not new for Donald Trump, right? we all remember the 2016 debate against Hillary Clinton, where he made clear as a first-time candidate that he may not accept the results to the election. And then we actually lived through the violence of January 6th in the aftermath of the 2020 election, and Donald Trump's silence during that time. So having language like this is no doubt, yet again, and of laying groundwork for the potential for a repeat of what we saw on January 6th. I'm not suggesting Trump is calling for that here. I'm just saying by not having like totally just clear, unequivocal
the answer
language
should be no.
that this should be exact. That's
Yes.
what I'm saying. That's
the answer should be no. There should be no political violence.
And yet he wants to continue.
It's just that it's so easy to say, I don't think that anyone should get into any kind of altercation on my behalf. All right? That is such an easy out. But he can't do it. I would have more respect for you if you were like Dave Smith, a libertarian who is against Trump but also criticizes Biden and his regime and the regime state in general, but you're not like that. That's because I'm not a libertarian. It's because I'm a liberal. Why would Trump change his mind after the election results when nothing's changed since last time? If anything, it's changed in his favor. But like, if he loses, then that doesn't matter to them. If he loses, then it's because of the deep state. If he wins, it's because they beat the deep state. Get away with it is a wild thing to end to. Wait, hold on. I must have missed it. What did he say?
That here. I'm just saying by not having like totally just clear, unequivocal
the answer
language
should be no.
that this should be exact. That's what I'm saying.
Like
That's
the answer should be no. There should be no political violence.
And yet he wants to continue to live. I mean, this is why, and David, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Anytime he's sort of like back in this space of the election and things not being fair and therefore the outcome of that, he's in a losing space for him.
Yeah, look, I don't disagree. I think that forward looking is much better than backwards looking. Everybody kind of agrees on that. The president's stuck on 20. The more you talk about 20, the less we're talking about things that are occurring today.
But this question was about the future.
No, I understand. I understand, Case, but it's that future is kind of a look in the rearview mirror saying, if what happened in 20 happens again, then we're going to have problems. He should say, look, I hope that we have a free and fair election. I hope people accept that. But there are people, a lot of people, I mean, I've talked to some people this past weekend who you would never think, kind of suburban housewives who are really hard over that the election was rigged, was stolen. These aren't people who are like toothless, living in a yurt someplace. These are
I don't think
That's
those
important.
people
We talk
are
about
that way.
we were talking about leadership. I mean, that is because Donald Trump has hammered over and over again this lie that the election in 2020 was stolen. I don't think there are a lot of suburban housewives who are saying, who are on their own, sort of going out and saying, I dispute the results of the election in Arizona. That's a function of Donald Trump and his people going out and telling lies about what happened in 2020. And now you have an interview where he's saying,
I don't know. Carrie Lake does exist. Carrie Lake does exist, and she is like the quintessential wine mom from the suburbs that is saying that the 2020 election was stolen. So I guess kind of Marjorie Taylor Greene, but she's kind of her own case. Like that's just So, dude, how's it going? Moist. Sondsol needs to buy a blue trench coat. Give me money. Give me money. Hey, by the way, guys, if you like my streams, if you like my personality, if you just like my beautiful face, especially if you like my beautiful face, please consider donating. There's a link in the description of the YouTube channel that you guys can shoot me money to directly support me so that I can, keep up appearances. I can get all the stuff that keeps my face pretty and looking young and fresh. No, but yeah, if you guys want to support me at all, I'm not very good at shilling. I don't like to shill. I don't like to tell people this, but like at the end of the day, it's like the only way that I can justify spending as much time as I have on stream is if people either donate or use the YouTube membership or sub on Kick over there. So if you guys want to help me save up for my big cross-country move that's happening at the end of the summer, please consider supporting me that way. Sondsol does not even care who's running or what they say. He trusts in the Democratic Party blindly. That's so true. I've literally never had a criticism of Democratic leadership, of any Democratic Party member. It's just so true.
Essentially, if I don't like the outcome of this election, I'm going to do that again. That is a fundamentally dangerous thing. It is also, to David's point, a political loser. I mean, we've seen time and again. We saw in the midterms in 2022, the concept of political violence, the notion that our democracy was under threat was motivating to people. Voters said, I reject this. I don't want
listen,
this.
I 100% again agree, right? We should be talking about the economy. We should talk about like ideas, Trump versus Biden on XY foreign policy, all the things that I think are winners.
If you're a Republican.
I think are winners, right? Well, we have to talk about abortion.
Yeah, you do.
We just have to have an answer on abortion, a better answer on abortion. I don't think Trump's position is a bad position whatsoever, right? I mean, his position was the position of the Republican Party for 50 years. It's a states' rights issue. You had other members of the Republican Party.
It was a states' right issue, but then the Republicans had to do exactly what the alarmists said in the Democratic Party. Listen, they'll get rid of Roe v. Wade, and then they'll go for a national abortion ban. They don't want it just for the states. Meanwhile, Republicans, before Roe v. Wade, before the Dobbs decision, listen, we just want states' rights. We just want states to be able to make the decision that their constituents want. Like a couple of weeks after Roe was shot down in the courts, the Republicans try to put forward a total abortion ban. I think it was Lindsey Graham. Bro, like, it's like they want to lose. It's like they want to lose. And I don't know how so many people just pretend like they don't see it.
Party like Lindsey Graham and others putting out pretty extreme positions, but Trump's position was reasonable for many years. It was the dogma of the party.
To go back to the main point, though, why can't Trump just say, no, there's not going to be political violence?
I don't have an answer for you, right? I wish he did. I wish he'd said, just like I said, I wish he'd say, listen, Joe Biden says repeatedly, don't compare me to the almighty, compare me to the alternative. Well, Joe, I want to do that. And let me give you a side-by-side one-pager here, America, on foreign policy, on fiscal policy, on regulation, on energy. I wish Trump would do that, right? And then we could have substantive debates about things that matter, household issues to people that really impact. Listen, you know why you can't buy a house? Interest rates are 8%. They're not coming down anytime soon because of inflation and runaway spending. Let me tell you about this, student debt.
They should give you a job in Republican comms. I got it.
I know, but
I got the message.
Protecting democracy is a highly rated issue. I mean,
Yes.
it's
Yeah,
second
very
to the
much
economy.
so.
And by the way, it rates highly for both Democrats and Republicans. They obviously come at it from different perspectives.
We've already got what the title of the video is over. We don't have a bunch of time left. The Democrats have been outperforming the polls in every state and local election by 5 to 10 points. Well, like what's interesting is right now, the Democrats do have way more going for them. Biden has way more going for him than polls would suggest, right? Because as we see in important states, like what do you call it? Arizona, right? That's a very important state that both parties desperately want. And that state is going to be won by likely less than 1%. But who's going to win that is going to come down to the local situation. And Arizona right now, just the Republicans there are refusing to budge on that abortion bill written in the fucking 1860s or 70s. This is one of the slimmest margins in the entire country for a absolutely critical state for Trump to win if he wants to regain the presidency. And they're throwing. Republicans are just not being smart about this election. They could absolutely dominate Biden, but they're dying on hills that they shouldn't die on. They repealed it as of when? Because my understanding is they deferred any kind of action on that until after the election. That they tried to repeal it and the Republicans shot down repealing it. Maybe, I mean, maybe you're right. I'm super curious. Arizona abortion law. 10 hours ago. Okay, this is breaking news to me. What's one that I trust that I'm not going to get paywalled? Two Republicans broke with the party and helped Democrats repeal it. Wow.
The Arizona Senate has voted to repeal the state's nearly total ban on abortions a week after the measure passed the Arizona House.
By your votes of 16 ayes, 14 nays, you have passed House Bill 2677.
Wait, question. If they, well, I don't know how their legislature works. So if it passed in the House but is shot down in the Senate, does it just go back to the House or? Okay, this is breaking news to me. Trump now has a path to victory. I don't know if that's what that means. I don't know if that's what that means. Now, it'll be interesting to see if that changes people's opinions. So it could be that Trump gets a bump later on, but I'm not certain what that means. Before, I was pretty certain what it meant. Now it's up in the air again. If not for this stream, then for later. It's 49 minutes and I don't care about modern monetary theory. You can cope and seethe all you fucking want about all of your libertarian stupid fucking ideas about getting rid of the Fed and bringing back the gold standard and de-dollarizing and allowing people to print their own fucking dollars at home. You can fucking cry and seethe and cry and moan and piss and cum and cry tears of blood all you fucking want. That's never going to fucking change. It's never going to fucking change. And the fact that you think that going back to a gold standard or allowing people to print their own fucking money or like getting rid of the Federal Reserve or getting rid of like literally any of the things that make our country operate in the way that it does right now, it's just fucking mind-boggling to me. There's literally not a successful country in the entire fucking world that went from a fiat country currency back to a gold currency that succeeded. It's just like the most stupid fucking thing in the entire world. Us moving from gold standard to a fiat currency was one of the biggest money moves the United States has ever done. It allowed us to open up trade much easier. It allowed us to engage in a type of spending that we would never have been able to do, and rocketed us from one of the, like, granted, most important countries in the world to the most important country in the world. I'm also for Austrian econ, not gold standard. Oh, thank you, Front Yard Shield. Another fucking stupid, retarded, unproven, never done in any real fucking country in the entirety of human history, whose basic ideology is based off of the idea of praxeology, which is, well, theoretically it should work, so therefore it does work, and everyone else is fucking retarded. Like, that's basically the entirety of Austrian economics. Like, it is so fucking mind-boggling that this is your new autistic hyperfixation, that of all the things that you could focus on that will actually materialize your, like, materially impact your life in positive or negative ways, like, you choose getting rid of fiat currency. I'm sorry.
Republicans and Democrats sparred during the voting process, including interruptions from the gallery.
First, I want to explain.
Cope and seethe, you inflation Uncle Sam cocksucker. I mean, I'm the one coping and seething over here because I'm the one that is totally fine with the monetary system as it exists now, in a way that we're able to control our currency much easier than we would otherwise be able to, in the way that rocketed us from like a superpower to the world hegemon yeah, I'm the one coping and seething. Literally no country on earth would ever adopt my version of economics because their countries would collapse in like 2 years.
That the graphic descriptions of abortion given here today do not bear any resemblance to the vast majority of abortions that are performed in this country.
When members are speaking on the floor, there is no outbursts in the gallery, please. Thank you.
And I am disgusted at the fact that the political propaganda in this room, including from all of you in the media, continues to call this the territorial law, when you know full well that that is not the case. It's not even the same statutory reference number as the prior territorial law. Because the Democrats, with a Democrat majority in the Arizona Senate and a Democrat governor, they recodified this after extensive, multi-years long public input.
I just want to clear something up about the messaging around that this law was signed in 1977 by a Democratic governor, but the reality is that in 1977 the entire criminal code, which is hundreds of pages long, was restructured and renumbered, and to cherry pick one.
Okay. Triggering is over. Any other short memes that we can go over?
The ongoing chaos at college campuses across the United States.
Okay, short meme, and then we are done. Okay? Short meme, and then we are done. Actually, this is too long for a short meme. All right. I think we're going to start wrapping up, but I'll sit here and chat with you guys for a couple of minutes because I love you guys so much. Monetary theory just means that spending money and having a deficit isn't inherently bad. I think it's a little bit more than that, but yeah. Fuck all banks. Yes, banking is stupid. All things that have led to the human prosperity that we have right now is stupid. And my theoretical framework for how we can restructure the entirety of government and society and finance and, fucking schooling and literally everything, as long as my theoretical idea of what the restructuring of the entirety of the human race looks like happens, then we'll be fine. But as we stand right now at the pinnacle of human wealth and human prosperity, like across the world, and it is the peak of human prosperity across the entire world. Yes, now is not the time for us to, tweak and fix small sections of what's wrong. Now is the time for us to completely overhaul the entirety of what we have seen and have like data to prove works. Yes. I don't have a job, but I have solved economics. Super fucking true. These guys have the biggest fucking brains, the biggest fucking, IQs. They are so smart. And I love the code switching here. You wake up every day and love Paul Krugman, who said the internet will have no more impact than the fax machine. I'll get you a citation, blah, 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 blah. To be honest, if it weren't for Deuteronomy 22:5, I think I would like to go out in public looking like a woman. Like, I don't know, guys. This is all I want in the entire world. All right? The only thing that I want in the entire world is for us to return to some level of normalcy, for people to chill the fuck out. I think that's what most people want. I think things have been way more chill under Biden than they ever were under Trump. There have been crises that we've had to deal with that haven't majorly impacted our lives here at home. Meanwhile, like under Trump, it felt like literally every single fucking day there was some crazy shit going on, whether it was a white nationalist fucking mass shooting, or whether it was, fucking January 6th, or whether it was lying about the election, or dragging our feet on COVID, or literally anything that happened while Trump was in office. Like, we can return to a sense of normalcy, but like not like this, dude. Can't wait for Newsom 2028. Let's go. More forever wars under Biden. There's no forever war that's happening. How am I not normal? You are a child who is hyperfixated on philosophy and modern monetary theory. Join a club at your school. Holy shit, make some friends. Ukraine and Israel, wow, that was easy. Yeah, Ukraine and, like, do you know what a forever war is? Biden ended Afghan occupation. Trump was too cowardly to do it. He moved the fucking goalpost back and back and back until it was after the election. So whoever won had to deal with it. Fortunately for us, it was Biden. All right. Listen, I love you guys a whole lot. It's been a fun one. We laughed, we cried, we coped, we seethed. We looked at people protesting in stupid ways today. And hopefully I'll be able to stream here in the next couple of days. I'm not 1,000% sure, but you know what? I'm ending, but I'm still going to time you out on principle because you're just like fucking retarded, my guy. There you go. Ban you for an hour. Well, after I'll be closed down. I love you guys very much. It's been very fun. Like, comment, and subscribe. Give me money, whatever. I don't have anything else to say. I'll catch you guys hopefully in the next couple of days. All right. Bye-bye.